Well, good evening, everybody. You're welcome to the regular board meeting of February the 7th, in the year of our Lord 2023. We will do a Pledge of Allegiance and then an invocation, and I ask you to stand for both. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Almighty God, we come before you this night with a long agenda. We ask that you work with us as we work our way through it. We ask that you be present. We ask that you give us wisdom that we might do what is good for all of the many residents of this town and area. We invite you to be with us as we meet. Amen. Okay, the agenda is before you, and let me say something. We've got a lot of stuff on the agenda tonight. Don't take this the wrong way. This gavel is going to keep us going, okay? I appreciate your presence here, and we will need to keep moving along. So thank you for your patience. Okay, the agenda. Is the agenda as set, or are there any changes?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make an amendment to the agenda to add to the agenda that we take a look at removing a board member from the ABC board.
Where would you want to add that?
Probably under what, new business?
At the end of new business?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is there any objection to that? If not, is there a motion to approve the agenda as proposed to be amended?
And I just have one question, Mayor, and I don't think it affects the agenda in any way. When we get to the advisory board and interviews and applications for ABC and planning boards, when we get to those specific areas, I think we have multiple entries again like we have in the past. And I would suggest that we begin with the planning board, because I think it's the only place where we have a double applicant in two places, so that if that doesn't work out, then that person is still being considered in the other vein. Does that make sense? Did I make any sense whatsoever?
I believe one applicant is the planning board is the second choice. But
right, but they are two. But two boards there, so if one doesn't work, maybe the other one does.
Is there any objection to that?
None.
Okay. All right. The agenda as modified is before you. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay, it is approved. I will ask the town manager to introduce our presentation from Triangle J and Mid-Carolina Council on Governments to discuss the town manager recruitment.
Okay, at your last meeting, you approved an agreement between Triangle J Council of Government and Mid-Carolina Council of Governments. We got Lee Worsley here this evening. Lee, if you'll stand up. I think most of you know Lee. He's the executive director of the Triangle.
J. Cog.
Cog. And we also got listed Justin Hembray, who was the executive director for the Mid-Carolina Council of Governments.
Right.
And all of us managers, we kind of joke with these guys. We tell them they couldn't be managers, so they went to be, COG directors. But they've all got, fairly extensive local government experience. And I think you made a good choice, and I think they do a good job for you. And I think they're here to make their first presentation this evening.
They are vital cogs in our wheel. Yeah. So, okay. All right, Lee, you want to go first?
You and Justin.
Incidentally, I'm a member of the Triangle J Council on Government board, and I enjoy working with you, Lee.
Thank you. Is this on? Hello?
Yes, it's on.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and members of the board. Lee Worsley, Executive Director of the Triangle J Council of Governments. And I do have with me Justin Hembry, the Director of the Mid-Carolina Regional Council. Just really quickly, as way of background, Triangle J represents 47 local governments in 7 counties. We're very pleased to have Andrew as one of our members. We provide a variety of services to our local governments, including assisting with local government management searches. I've been a manager before. I've been a deputy manager before. Certainly have worked with a lot of managers. Have had the pleasure of working with Richard over a number of years, and we're really happy to be here. So I want to give Justin an opportunity to introduce himself and talk for a second about Mid-Carolina, and then we'll dive. I know you're on a limited time, so we'll dive right in after that. So Justin.
Okay, Justin, welcome.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name's Justin Hembry. I'm with Mid-Carolina Regional Council, so we're your neighboring cog to the south. We represent a 3-county region, 29-member governments in Sampson, Harnett, and Cumberland counties. Our offices are in Fayetteville, and Lee and I have known each other for, I don't know how long, probably 20-plus years, I guess. And as Lee said, I've also been a manager, been a municipal manager and a county manager before. As Richard joked, some of our colleagues tell us we took early retirement and decided to become COG directors. But one of the things, and Lee's probably mentioned this particularly to the board at Triangle J, we have an interlocal agreement between the 2 COGs. And one of the things that I think probably COGs across the state do a fairly poor job of is cooperating amongst themselves. We preach regionalism, but very rarely do we work together with each other. Lee and I are constantly trying to find opportunities where we can team up and do projects together, and this was a perfect opportunity for that. And we're just glad to be on board and assist y'all as you go through this. You know, as you know, I don't have to tell you. You'll probably hear me say this through the process. You'll hear Lee and Richard say it too. The process y'all are getting ready to go through in terms of selecting a town manager is the most important task that a local elected board in North Carolina has that functions under the council manager form of government. So, you know, we're humbled that you would ask us to be part of this, and we look forward to working with you through this.
So our task tonight is to basically introduce the process to you, to introduce a few pieces of material that I've passed out and get some initial reactions to that. Talk to you a little bit about, with the process timeline, answer any initial questions that you may have. Richard has both my and Justin's contact information, and we are more than happy to assist you at any time with a question as we go through the process. And I just echo what Justin said. This is the most important decision you will make as a board. This is your CEO of the organization. They represent the town in a lot of different ways. They are responsible for the staff and being that connection between the board and the staff and leading staff for a town that's going through a lot of exciting changes and a lot of exciting opportunities ahead. So it's no small task, but I know y'all are up for it, and we're here to support you in any way that we can. So are there any initial questions just about a manager search? I know there may be more as we start getting into the process, but I do want to pause and see if there are any initial questions.
Can you have it done by next month?
No. I will say, and we'll talk about this a lot more, probably like any business that you're in right now, the market is pretty tough right now in local governments. So we will work really hard. I think it's a great opportunity. You've got that going for you. Great community, great schools, all of that stuff. But there are a lot of vacancies for local government managers right now. There are a lot of retirements. So you're competing with a number of local governments looking for talent. So just would like to say that we'll do our best to keep it as truncated as possible, but it's going to take a little while. And I think, and I know the mayor was joking, but you want to make sure you make the right decision. And if that takes a few extra months, I won't speak for Richard, but that's in your best interest to take as much time as you want or need to make a decision. So if it's okay with the board, the first thing that we really need to do is, let me talk about the timeline and just an initial timeline and process, and then we can get into the survey that we did with you. And as I said, we're here with you throughout the whole process. Veronica actually asked about what involvement they may have to have in advertising and stuff. That's what we'll take care for you. Your staff is busy enough. They've got a lot on their plate. So we'll be taking care of the advertisements, receiving the applications, screening the applications, helping craft questions for your interviews, setting interview logistics up if that's what you need. We're here to assist. In addition to Justin and I, Justin's deputy director, Samantha Woolenwaber, will be assisting with the search. Samantha has a lot of local government experience herself, is a former planning director, and has been working with Justin for a year or two now. And also Beth Davis on my team is our communications specialist. She's responsible for the beautiful job ad that you have in front of you. She'll be supporting us with all sorts of administrative support and other things as well. We'll pull other staff members in as we need. So tonight, we're hoping to get at least some consensus around is the job ad hitting in the right direction? Generally, the profile of the candidate, education, experience. I know we want to talk about residency a little bit. Those sort of requirements for the manager, wanting to make sure we're all on the same page, because we'd like to get a job ad on the street as quickly as possible. We may wait a few days to see if you have additional comments, but our hope is to get the ad on the street in the next couple weeks at most. We can talk about amount of time to leave the application period open, but probably a good 3 weeks, 4 weeks at minimum. We can say that the job will be open until filled. We can always say a first review of applications would take place. We'll figure out the date. We'll begin to review those applications, a very objective review against your qualifications. We'll present to you a slate of candidates that we believe meet or exceed the requirements and that we would recommend for a first round interview, whether that's in person or if you want to do it in a different way, telephone. We can talk about that tonight. Get your first round interviews done, pick a finalist or two, bring them in probably for a second interview. Board would make a decision. We can help support you as you develop a employment agreement. You obviously want your attorney involved in that. And then supporting you as you get ready to make the announcement of your choice. I think I missed something. I can't remember what it was, but we'll get back to it in a few minutes. That's the basic process on what we'll be undertaking as we move forward. We're going to do our best to advertise it as widely as we can, also trying to mitigate cost as much as possible. Certainly try to advertise it very widely statewide. May select a couple publications that may go a little further out than the state. But advertising can get pretty pricey, so we'll be strategic. That's what I was going to mention. Justin and I have a lot of contacts of managers and others. We're going to be doing some direct recruitment as well of candidates that we think would be good. So we were actually talking about a couple of potentials this evening. So we'll be doing a little headhunting as well, encouraging people to apply because it's a great opportunity. So that's what I was going to talk about. All right. So Justin, if it's okay, I might do the survey, and then if you want to get reactions on the job ad so we can split the work here. So thank you to the board members for filling out. We did an online survey around some of the major job sort of profile. I'm going to real quickly go through some of this. Most of it's pretty consistent, as you can see from the survey. So I'd rather concentrate on some items that are pretty consistent, but just want to confirm with you all that the board as a whole feels good. So question 1 was how important it was that your manager have local government work experience. It was either extremely or somewhat important, so I think that's something they want to have you want them to have local government work experience. North Carolina experience, same sort of response, extremely important or somewhat important, so we'll make sure and stress experience in a North Carolina local government. How many years of local government work experience should your next manager have? The majority of you were somewhere between 5 and 15 years. So I would say that's working in a local government. It could be a department head, assistant manager, not necessarily a manager. Any thoughts around that? It was pretty evenly split. There's 2 of you that said 5 to 10, 2 that said 10 to 15, and 1 said 0 to 5. So any strong feelings around that? We can word it in a way that could hit that range but be a little more general, or if you want to nail it down a little bit more, we can talk about that.
Well, personally, Lee, I think 0 to 5, coming in at 0, you're basically doing a lot of training. We don't have time to train a town manager. They need to have some experience. So I would say at least 5 to 10, personally.
Yeah, I agree. I think with the growth we're experiencing here, we're going to get into additional levels of complexity, and we don't need to train somebody in that situation.
Right. I personally think 10 to 15, we need to make sure they have all the credentials to be a town manager. And like they said, we don't need to train anybody. We need somebody that's going to be able to jump in, take the helm, and start leading us in the right direction. We've got too many projects that are going on that we need to go ahead and knock out, and because our growth in this town is just, we are busting at the seams. We have too many people that want to come here, and we need to be able to accommodate everybody's needs. So I think we need somebody between 10 to 15 years.
Richard, how long does it take someone to get credentials that you think would be needed? 5 years is too short?
I'd say 5 to 10. I wouldn't go under 5.
So 10 to 15, they would most definitely have it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most of them do.
Yes. We could always say at least 10.
There you go.
I think one of the things that
At
you
least
do with this, and this is always maybe subjective when we're talking about the initial ads. Obviously, when Lee and I are going through vetting the applications, we can phrase the job ad that we're really encouraging folks that have the municipal management experience or local government supervisory experience. But when we're scoring those or ranking them, obviously the folks that have those years with more experience are going to rank higher than someone that's just out of school or a few years. So I think we can find a way to phrase the job ad that would capture, what y'all are looking for as a board and need as a community.
Justin, the only thing that worries me, if we put in there 10 to 15 and we got someone with 8 years experience and you've screened them and you think they're a positive, I would hate for that 10 year to completely knock them out of it. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I think we probably talk about this a little bit with the job ad, but the thing y'all need to remember, anytime you're talking about limiting factors, that's narrowing your pool.
Right.
It's taking an already tough market that's narrowing your pool. So we want to try to balance casting a wide net to where we know we get applicants that are interested in applying, but at the same time, we don't want to have everybody and their brother, coming in. Of course, Lee and I, we can go through and sort those out for you so you're not dealing with it, but we don't want to set expectations for candidates nor for the board. For instance, we could cast a wide net and come back to you and say, my gosh, we've had 120 applicants in this pool. pat us on the back. You know, we're going to raise your dues to Triangle J because we do such a great job. Well, but if we don't put any of those specific qualifications in the job ad,
Right.
so we can find a way to certainly balance that.
And we have to keep in mind that just because you have or just because you have the credentials, doesn't mean you can do the job.
That's right. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Or
No, and
that
I
you're
suspect
the,
between us three, we'll probably know 90% of them.
right.
Probably.
We'll know many of them, yeah.
Or that you're the right person for this job.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Right.
Yes, sir.
So,
Yes, sir. It's pretty clear that you'd really like the person to have North Carolina local government management experience. And again, we can word that in a way that it maybe doesn't disqualify somebody, but certainly we can see as people apply what experience that they have and don't. I'm going to go ahead and skip. I think we're pretty clear on years of experience. I'm going to go ahead and skip to number 7. And again, I think we can word this in a way, it's pretty clear that you at least want a bachelor's degree. Two of you said a master's degree, but I think, again, in trying to cast a wide net, we can word it in a way that certainly a minimum of a bachelor's degree and, you know, a master's degree may be preferred, or we can word in a way that will cast that net. So if y'all are okay with that, oh, nope, let me do one more thing. Sorry. Let's go ahead and go to 9, and then I'll get into the written responses because that's on a separate sheet so you can see the full response. Again, pretty consistent, and just want to test this to make sure you all agree. What kind of attributes or backgrounds you're looking for in your manager. Almost all of you mentioned financial management, budget planning and implementation, growth management. A majority of you mentioned conflict resolution, economic development. At least 2 of you discussed utilities, performance management, emergency management. And we had 1 mention community development. And I think there are ways we can mention all of these, probably put a little more weight on growth, financing, budgeting, but also, and obviously you got really talented department heads, but also mentioning, you know, work in a community with full utilities is preferred or something like that, just so we can, again, have some qualifications that may raise somebody to the top versus somebody that doesn't. If that sounds okay to y'all.
Lee, I think a lot of us are concerned that our new town manager live in Anger. How is the best way to present that, or what kind of resistance are we going to run into on that?
Yeah. So let's get to it's a great question, Mayor. So why don't we go ahead and go to the written responses, because that's that was mentioned fairly consistently in the written responses. So let's go ahead and skip to that second column. When thinking about your next manager, are there other items that should be considered? And 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, almost 5 of you talked about either living in Anger or being present. And I completely agree. I think making sure that your manager is present, is available, is visible is really important. The living in Anger part, I think, is a personal choice for the board. There's different ways, and Justin may have something to add to this. There are different ways that different boards have gone about this, and things have changed in the last 10 or 15 years. If it was 10 or 15 years ago, I would say living in town, absolutely, I understand. There are a lot of managers now that maybe have a spouse or a significant other with a career, and so taking that into account. There may be a manager that might be already living 20 minutes from the town limits. You know, are you going to require that person to move in? I think obviously the best case is a manager who wants to move into town, but as Justin mentioned, it'll narrow your pool. So I think we'd love to hear from you on how strong you feel about that. I think if you feel real strongly about it, we're fine with it and we will move forward. It's just going to be a limiting factor, but certainly I understand why it's important. Justin, got anything to add?
Isn't it that we want the person to be a part of the community, to be present, and
I
to
feel,
be?
I feel,
yeah.
Mayor, that whoever he or she it is, that needs to have an interest, active interest into the town that they're going to serve and live in.
I think that's what I was trying to, and hopefully not doing too much interpretation when I was looking at the results of the survey, but that's exactly what I took away from it. You know, obviously, it looks like the council's preference would be that you've got a manager that lives in and is a resident of the town. You know, as Lee mentioned, 10, 15 years ago when we were in the game, that was a deal. You just knew that. You took a job, you were going to be leaving that town because most employment agreements had a residency requirement. That has changed a lot for various factors. But if I really focus on what y'all are wanting here, not saying that it's not important where the person lives in relation to the town, but more importantly, y'all are looking for someone that's part of the community, that's engaged as part of the community, that's not just a hired gun as the town manager, but is also part of the community. And we discussed this, and I don't think they would mind me mentioning this. We recently did the recruitment a while back for the city manager over in Clinton. And Clinton did have a residency requirement. They decided that they wanted to include that in there. But their primary thing, and I remember their finalists and the manager they have now, that was the last discussion that the mayor and I had with him, is what they are looking for is someone that is involved in the community. You know, and there's ways that we could phrase that in the application, but also score it as we go through the assessment of candidates. But more importantly, as y'all go through the interview process of getting to know who these candidates are, you know, y'all being able to get a feel for, is this the type of person and personality that will really engage and embrace this community? And of course, the three of us will be doing the same thing through the vetting process.
Does that sound right to y'all?
Yeah, I mean, it's a critical question. So if you desire to have the residency requirement in there, we can put it in there. And, you know, we'll look at the pool. If the pool's not strong enough, or if there's a candidate that says, well, I'd love to do this, but I live, 20 minutes away, or so, we can always bring that to you and say, hey, there's a possibility there.
So, Lee, I mean, but will they respond to you in that way, or will they write it off immediately?
They could.
Seeing it, because I mean, I hear what you're saying, and I agree with all these comments and things about being involved in our town. But there again, as things have changed this day and age, I can't imagine me wanting to come to Anger to be your mayor, and my wife has been working.
That's a manager.
Great.
Alan.
A manager.
I forgive
But
me. Okay.
your spouse is committed and has been working hard at a job and loves their job, and to ask them to leave it, I don't want to put anybody out. But there again, that's why I think I'm one of the people that mentioned, if not, how far away are we talking? Because I understand when it comes 5 o'clock, if you've got an hour drive to get out of town to get home, then you're wanting to get out the door and get on the road. You don't want to stay around for a civic meeting or a town gathering. But that is the only way you're going to find out what your people and your citizens want and expect from you.
And I think that's very reasonable. You also want that closeness. If something were to happen, an emergency, you want them to be able to get here quickly.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen many situations where they've stated that it was a preference, but the board can certainly, analyze whether that particular person with whatever distances are involved is the right person.
And we could play with some language where it really is a very strong preference, right? And before we put the ad out, we could run it by you all to see how you feel about it. I mean, we understand and we hear you on this being very important, and we want to make sure we get the language right. So we're happy to draft something and see how you feel about it.
Then let me ask you one more question. You said that probably you're going to know about 80%, perhaps, I may have made that up, a majority of these people that are going to apply. Is that going to be, you know these people, you've interviewed them before, they just didn't make the cut to another place? Do you think that that is going to stop us from getting the best qualified person?
A residency requirement?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it would stop you. Justin may have a different opinion. If your town was much smaller and not growing like Anger, I think it could. I think the fact that Anger is growing and has lots of housing options and more housing options, I think if you have somebody that's several counties away, I think it's going to be easier for them to move. I think where you would maybe run into an issue is that situation where maybe you have somebody that lives right now in Wake County or lives a county away, maybe has a spouse or kids in a school, right? And they're like, yeah, I'm really interested in this job, but I'm just not sure with this family situation it makes sense for me to move.
Well, we've got
That's
ice
where I think
cream.
you might be.
We've got ice cream, Lee.
That's right.
So
I don't think it's going to
that's-
be as limiting as in some of the other communities that I've done some recruitments for. I don't know what you think, Justin.
I agree. I mean, I think, and just in terms of the specific ad, it's, maybe a compromise or whatever y'all feel comfortable with here, that we come up with some wording to run by y'all to say, highly encouraged or really desired. But y'all would not have the challenge that, say, a smaller town in a more rural area of maybe 1,000 or 2,000 people looking for a manager would have. You're probably going to have folks want to come here because they know what's happening in this part of the state and the growth experience. So, hopefully you won't even have to worry about that issue. But put a residency requirement in that. That could possibly limit the number of people that apply. But by no means is it a deal breaker or a killer for if y'all do decide to do that. And I know it seems like there's a fence out there, and I'm perfectly balanced right on top of it. And I really am. I mean, we can make it work, whatever, because again, this is your manager.
Can we
That's
put,
what we want to make
I think
sure
we
that
could probably
find.
take case by case and
or can we put like within a 20-mile radius?
You could, that's the other thing that's become much more common.
Is a radius
too,
then?
is as opposed to in
Right.
the olden days, where we all had residency requirements. Now you're starting to see an employment agreement, a mile radius of town hall or the corporate limits or something of that nature when you get to that specific point of talking. But again, I think the key to it is a level of comfort with your choice in terms of how engaged they're going to be in the community.
Yeah, I agree.
You said, are they going to stay and be engaged in events,
Right.
civic activities? And I'm not supposed to say this, but church and
Yes.
all those kind of things that, quite frankly, Richard and Lena, this kind of just used to be unspoken.
I think you'll have managers call if they've got questions. They'll call Lee and say, "How serious are they on this
Okay.
issue?" And they'll find out if it's some.
Because we're definitely,
Right.
I can say for the board, we're definitely open for suggestions. I mean, if we
Right.
find a really good candidate, we're not going to say, you definitely have to live here or you're not going to come.
right.
So,
Okay. So I'm going to let Justin just really quickly. We're not going to walk page by page, but talk to you about the job ad and see if you have any initial reactions. We know we just gave it to you right before the meeting. We're going to give you some time to look through it, but I'll let Justin.
Sure. So this is, and Lee's staff did a wonderful job pulling this together. And what's becoming more common now than not in manager recruitments are, you may recall, used to, well, I don't know, y'all probably never looked at town manager ads. I was looking at them all the time, particularly when I was in a place I wanted to get out of. But used to, you would see managers ads, and they would be a whole page. You'd go on the internet and on the leading municipalities and take up all this page. What's going on now is we're coming up with kind of recruitment packets or position profiles, and the actual ad itself will be fairly short. It would be a summary of what's included in this, and then say, for more information, visit a website that will take them to this brochure that folks can get more detail about and find out general information about the town, but specifically the position. So what we tried to do with this was obviously give an overview of the community, population data, those kind of things. You can look in here. Then an overview about the position. And again, this is very general. There's not a whole lot of specifics included in this, but I feel like that it does a good job of giving a general overview of the position, the size of the budget, the number of employees, the types of infrastructure that the town owns, and then specifically the position. And it's got the bullet list of the successful candidate, of kind of in general what we guessed as we were pulling this together y'all were looking for. Now, one thing that is not included, you'll notice in here the last thing. Well, let me stop right there before I get any further into that. Any initial thoughts or comments about this packet? Yes, sir.
I have a problem with the population statement. We feel like we were undercounted. Mm-hmm. Secondly, we are looking at a more complex situation than the small town I grew up in. So I wonder if we could use state population numbers or something like that to give it a clearer indication of who we are here.
Certainly. And we could probably, the other thing we could do, bringing it to this, is even if you look at probably the state population estimate, one of the things that we're going to have to do a good job with through the process is, Andrew may be 5,000-6,000 people now, whatever the real number is. The fact of the matter, whoever your next town manager is, that population is probably going to change dramatically in a very short period of time. That's right. So it's not like they're coming to manage a town that's 5,000 or 6,000 people. They'll be managing a town maybe that's, who knows. We could look at some projections or figure out a way to word that to be able to communicate that this isn't a small town.
Or perhaps together with a 7% growth rate or something like that.
Absolutely.
Melissa, the 39 FTE and 12 PT, is that current? Okay.
The only other question mark that was left open here, and you'll see it at the end, is we included in here, at least at this point, that the salary was to be determined. That used to be very common. It was, in fact, it was always quite rare when you would actually see a salary or a salary range advertised. What I've found, and Lee and Richard chime in here with this, but what I've found, feedback when we were doing other recruitments, and we ran into this in Clinton because we advertised it as to be determined, folks would shy away from applying for the job if they didn't know, at least have some general idea of what the hiring range would be or the anticipated hiring amount. Mm-hmm. So you're seeing more and more ads, towns and counties posting either hiring ranges, which you could do, or posting anticipated hiring rate, the anticipated salary that we're going to pay someone as they come in. And, that might be, and I don't know, that might be a more detailed discussion that we would need, but I really think it's important we include that in the ad when it goes out. Mm-hmm. Because that's going to say it's going to do two things. It's going to catch the interest of maybe some of those managers that are in that 5 to 10 year range that, quite frankly, they're thinking about, all right, where's my next step? And one of the things, just like everybody else thinks about, and managers, they're thinking about, hey, where can I go where it's financially attractive? It's going to help me as I move through my career with retirement, things like that. The other thing that it would do, quite frankly, is those folks that have a whole lot of experience and might like to come here and realize that it sets that expectation. So you don't get to the point that you fall in love with a candidate, you're ready to hire them, and they say, but yeah, it's going to take X amount of money, and it's just something that the town couldn't do. So it kind of sets that expectation on both ends of that.
My experience is if you state a range, everybody immediately goes to the top end of the range. So.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we've all done that. You look at a job ad and you see a range, you think, well, and you come back and get offered the job, first thing you throw out there is a number at the high end of the hiring range. So, and I don't know if you want to start out with what the market is doing now. This is what I've seen. And this is not only from recruitments that I've either been involved with or heard about, but also colleagues that are just out in the field. And, you talk when people get new jobs and what are they doing. Most places are at least hiring new managers to come in at the salary the previous manager was making when they left, if not higher. And when I say if not higher, most of them are higher than that. And it's just the way the market, quite frankly, it's just the way the market is right now. But again, this, that's up to y'all. And again, you start talking about those limiting factors. That's one of those things that can really limit the pool of candidates down when they look at a salary. The other thing, and I just thought about this, Lee, never done this before, is we could say that not advertise. This normally doesn't turn out good when I start doing this in front of the boards, thinking like this on the feet. But is maybe we don't advertise a hiring salary or salary range, but we specifically say for questions concerning salary specific questions, contact either Lee and I. We talk to them, get a feel for where they're at in the range, and it may be somebody calls up and says, hey, I'm working here and I'm making $350,000 a year. We'll say, hey, you just need to keep working there. Or it may be somebody that comes in and we're like, oh, that's a little bit high, I think, but let's go forward with it and see how this works out, and clearly let those expectations be known. Hey, we're not sure where we're going to be at with salary, but this could be potentially doable. That's the other way we could handle it.
If you had to guess a range, what do you think?
I'm going to let Lee answer that.
Thanks. No, so I think your range the last time was somewhere 90 to 125. I think the last time this was advertised, I think that certainly is too low right now, that range. We did a similar recruitment, and the range was just too low, and we didn't get any applicants, so we actually had to go back and up the range, and we got additional ones. My thought is you're probably going to be somewhere, and I'm trying to get some data, some salary data. I just haven't gotten it yet from the league. But probably 110 to 135, if I had to guess, is your range. I'm a little. The thing is, there's just so many jobs on the market. You've got to distinguish yourself, and so we're trying to do all we can to really market the job ad, making the salary attractive. But I think if you're any lower than that 110, I think you're going to be disappointed in the pool. I think if you're
Low.
You think 110's low?
Yeah, I think.
Well,
I remember
Yeah,
the
I think it's
survey we
probably
did. It was a little higher than
I,
that.
Yeah.
I would certainly love to see some averages from you, but I don't want to postpone this any. I mean, I know you need this. You need this to go
Well,
in
we
here.
can- we can, like
this
Justice said,
nebulous
we can-
offer of I think I wouldn't even I'd be a little confused over something. And I'm going to ask this question because you might as well. I mean, it's public knowledge. Anybody that wants to go and look for it, can you tell me what Jerry left at?
I think it's about
120.
120.
So what about 120 to 135?
You know,
Just to throw that out. I
I
mean,
think you got to be at least that high.
yeah. If we're going to be competitive, I mean, we got to.
So
Do it.
we could start around there. I could verify that with the data that I was hoping to get from the league, the municipalities. And if it's way off, I can
We can always
get
adjust
to Richard
it.
and
Yeah.
say that range is sort of off from what I'm
Right.
seeing. The latest data I had was like 2 years ago, and so I don't want to trust that because things have changed quite a bit. So
I mean, certainly anybody looking for a job, given that it's all public knowledge, they can certainly go and see what the last one, well, you were paying this one that much, you know. So I understand it. I mean, it's all of this kind of material is public knowledge. Yeah, I'm going to make an offer on a house, or I'm going to go, you know, I can go find out and do my homework what you bought it for, and has it increased to that value. So I think having some knowledge of what is comparable to other towns of our growth and size.
yeah.
Yeah, if I'm
but
not
also-
mistaken, the survey I just finished up, I mean, it had all the municipalities, you know, from different sizes that was actually covered in there, if I remember correctly.
It is.
So, and they were somewhere.
What Aiden's range was right now? Aiden's looking right now, and not that,
I
Sure.
think Aiden's close to 110, but
and Aiden's one of those you're talking about.
they don't really have
Aiden's
that much
small.
growth going on.
Pitt
They're
County.
about-
There's
the same
growth, but
size.
It's not the growth y'all are.
Right.
They're about 5,000 people.
Let's see if there's some comparables on the league website real quick.
Let me-
I know Pittsburgh was at about 150. But they've
Yeah,
got that
that's
huge
good, yeah.
subdivision.
Yeah, Pittsburgh was about 150. Their board made 2 offers, and both candidates said no, so they've had to re-advertise.
Even with their large subdivision they're building.
Mm-hmm.
It's the market.
I'd say 10 years from now, they'll be double your size. Just because of where they are
Yeah.
Yep.
and you subdivision.
But within 10 years, we could be 10 to 15,000. So
Could very easily.
that's not 5,000.
So why don't we, I mean, I know you've got a lot of. So here's Town of Red Springs. Town of Red Springs, which is certainly not Anger, has a range of 102 to 128. It's being advertised right now. So I think maybe the 125 to 140, 120 to 140, and then let us sort of go back and look at the numbers and make sure that we feel good about that.
So what are we going to go at?
120 to 140.
140? Yep. That'll be fine.
Hopefully I'll get it like any day now. Butner is 150 to 185.
A lot of federal money there.
8,500 population. But probably get candidates, similar types of candidates, probably trying to apply. 10.9 million in general fund, 58 full-time employees, so a little more employees than you all
Can you
do.
throw that out?
So again, 30-minute commutes preferred. That's what they have in the advertisement. So,
Lee,
yes, ma'am.
on this end, we're leaning 120 to 135.
Okay.
So
Okay.
just giving our
I
input.
mean, certainly, as you said, if I see 135, I'm going to expect 135.
Yeah.
You obviously think you have the money to spend it, and so too broad of a range in there. But for me, if you advertised it at that rate, I'm expecting you've budgeted the money to pay that.
Could we offer an extra $5,000 if you actually live in Andrew?
Whoa,
I don't know.
that's a twist.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, contractually, you can do.
Sometimes, Bob, you have good ideas. That's
an
great.
Annual housing allowance.
Whatever my
That's
name
why
is.
we elected you,
Yeah,
huh?
I know.
No, I like.
Yeah, he's on his
Housing allowance
toes.
For living in town.
Yeah.
You pay for moving expenses. Certainly.
Something to think about.
That would at least give the candidate an option.
Telluride, Colorado paid a water plant operator $10,000 a year to help housing. We're having such a hard time finding employees.
Well, certainly our
Cost of
housing
living
costs
there is
are going up too. So I don't know.
But you're seeing that, more and more.
Do y'all?
Do we
Think
need
that
to take it
makes
to a
any sense?
vote?
But you can negotiate that in a,
In the-
agreement when you get to that
Afterwards,
point.
to say, if you would agree to come live in town, we could negotiate at that point.
Could certainly do that. So we'll do the study. I'm here. I heard 120 to 135. Is that
That's okay.
you're okay? Everybody, all right.
I think.
We'll look, and if it's way off, we'll get with Richard and give you the data.
And I'm hearing 1, 2, 3, but pretty much here that's sounding like a good start, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the key is going to be for Richard and Hans and all of them to find out where this money is coming from.
I have
So,
faith.
as
in
we go into
You
our
already
new
paid
budget.
120. That's already in your budget.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's our new
So
budget. So.
Well, why don't we, cut today's Tuesday. If you have any additional thoughts on the job ad, if you see something that jumps out at you, you can reach out to me directly. If you want to go through Richard or Veronica, that's fine too. Maybe by close of the day on Thursday, if we don't hear anything, we'll just assume that the job ad looks pretty good. We'll be working on the salary and get that. If there's any major differences, we'll get that back to you. We'll also firm up a schedule with
Okay.
key dates for you all to have, so we can start following that, and we'll be ready to go.
Can we have the candidates direct that they go through you and not
Yes.
everybody and their brother dropping their, their
They
resumes and
will
everything
go-
here?
They will go directly to me.
Exactly,
And that'll
exactly.
be good for candidates because they'll feel an extra level of sort of confidentiality and also take pressure off staff on having.
Right, because we just don't need people dropping off resumes and
Nope, we'll
trying to
direct
talk
them.
to.
It'll
the
be in the
staff.
job ad, my email address, that's where
Excellent.
they're to send them.
are you talking about all of this as the job ad?
So what we'll do is we'll probably put it in the league, like a one paragraph, but then we'll have a link where people, if they want to
okay.
learn more, they
Excellent.
They can go this. That's
Excellent.
great.
Lee, given that I'm a very visual person and I'm all about impacts and what I'm looking at, can I throw one thing at you right now so that you can begin to even glance at that?
Please.
Very impressive. I'm loving what I'm reading on the things.
Yeah.
However, can you please go and look for some replacement photos in here? A dilapidated building that's sitting out in the field. I know it's the schoolhouse. Doesn't look appealing to me.
Okay.
Some bushes with flowers around the bottom of it on the side of a road. Not appealing.
Gotcha.
We got some great
Oh,
ones. I know we do.
Yep.
And go find those.
I mean,
I would love you if we had you find a park photo where there are more than 15 people sitting out on the grass at a concert. That would be lovely.
Perfect.
I think it is important, and I think when they don't know about where they're coming, and yes, they'll go look, but
Yep.
those are just a few because I love your wordings and your layouts. They all look very appealing, but
Yeah.
maybe look for a few replacements.
Veronica said she's got our back on
All
that
right.
one. So we'll ask your staff to help us with the photos.
Thank
So,
you.
Yeah, happy to do that.
Excellent.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right.
Any other questions?
No, you're off to a good start. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Lee. And Justin, yes. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
What y'all think? Sounds like they know what they're doing, right? Okay. Public comments. We didn't have anyone sign up. The consent agenda. There are 2 minutes from January 3rd, January 17th workshop, and an amendment to the remote participation policy, and amended classification grade table. Is there a motion that these be approved by the consent agenda?
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
The motion is before you. Is there discussion? If not, all in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay, it's approved. All right, new business. And here we've got a lot of stuff going on. Okay. Advisory board introduction, interviews and appointments. We are, let's see, we've got several possibilities here. Who wants to take the lead on this? Well, okay.
I think you've dealt with most of them, haven't you, Veronica? So let's let Veronica take the lead on it.
Okay. Why don't you call up the people? No, we've had 2 people, Risha and Sarah Arbor, who could not, either withdrew or could not be here tonight.
That's correct. Risha has withdrawn her application, and Sarah Arbor is not able to make it.
Okay.
So we currently have 1 vacancy on the ABC board, and we have 1 vacancy on the in-town planning board. That whoever gets appointed on the planning board would be serving the remaining term of a former member, and that term ends this December.
Okay. Why don't we do that first then? Are Ronald Lay and Tracy Durham here? Okay. I have to confess I have worked before with Tracy, so I'm disclosing that before we start here. All right. So why don't we hear from Ronald and Tracy for the 2-year term of planning board. Ronald, you want to go first? Well, just tell us about yourself and why you'd be interested in the position.
Can you please come up to the mic?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you.
The name's Ronald Lai, L-E-I.
Lai, okay.
I get it several different ways, but that's it. I've been in North Carolina 2 years. I've been here in Angier a year and a half. I live in Catherine's Retreat. I've retired, moved out. My son lives in Fuquay Marina, retired military special forces, 21 years. I have a grandson, and I thought that I'd like to be living here in Angier. I live in Catherine's Retreat. It's a new community there, and I really love it there. And I see the growth going around the area. Being from the West Coast, growth is nothing new to me. I've seen it for, all my life. And being in this area, I see the same kind of growth happening. It's on a smaller scale, but it's got the potential to be the same type of growth I've seen there. So I thought, I don't know if I have anything to add to the planning ideas and schedules, but I thought I'd try to somehow get involved with the community one way or the other. I don't know a lot about the planning process, although I was a planner, buyer, master scheduler in a production environment, but not a city or town planning environment. And I have some friends that I've grown close to in the area, and they've kind of encouraged me to get involved a little bit. So,
Okay. Does the board have any questions of Ronald?
Mr. Lai, you're applying, now which one, is either one of these candidates applying for multiple boards?
I haven't.
Tracy
is.
Durham
Tracy.
is.
Both. Is the planning board your first choice?
The planning board was her second choice according to
Okay.
her application.
Do you have any family members that's on the board previously?
No.
Has any one of the commissioners that's sitting in front of you made you any promises whatsoever that anything about the boards?
No.
Okay, thank you.
I've not talked to anybody.
Okay.
I've talked to,
I have talked to this gentleman 3 or 4 years ago when I was campaigning.
it was at Catherine's retreat. You were
When I was oh no, it was when I was looking for a house for my mother. Exactly. Yes.
and I didn't know who you were.
And to be honest with you, until you say Catherine's Retreat, I didn't even remember you. Sorry.
I know Alan Post lives on Wilma Street, and that's where Catherine's retreat is.
Okay. Any further questions?
Ronald, have you, I hope it's okay that I call you Ronald. I felt so formal a while ago. Mr. Ronald, have you by chance attended any planning board meetings to find out what is involved with their meetings and what they go through in a night and what is brought before them in anticipation before coming to us?
No, I haven't. I've been here at one meeting last year when we were talking about rezoning the area up there on Wilma next to Catherine's retreat. I sat down on that meeting, but that's all I've seen so far.
Yeah, and in the time period that you have been here and joined us in Andrew as a citizen here, have you? I know you say you're wanting to get involved in things, and that's great. I will make a comment right now that has nothing to do with what we're talking about right now. I am thrilled to see all of these applicants on these boards with people that are interested in joining the development of the town and its guidance. We haven't had this kind of list in quite some time. So thank you again to all of you for coming tonight and talking to us and
Amen.
and showing interest in the town. I just hope that's a trend we're heading towards. With that, have you reached out or have you had any interest in joining any of the civic organizations in town that work for the development of the town or the betterment of our community?
I have not had an opportunity to do that.
Because I certainly highly suggest everyone. We're desperately needing people in every department, everywhere, and I know that we have lovely civic organizations here in town that do a lot of benefit for the town, and they can use all the help they can get.
Being new here, I'm not sure where to find the resources to
Sure.
investigate those things.
I highly recommend you go by the Chamber of Commerce.
Mm-hmm.
They can help you out immensely with that, so I'm throwing that towards you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anything else? I guess that's it. Okay. Tracy Durham.
Thank you so much for your time. Tracy Durham. I am originally from North Carolina. I've lived in various other places, including some really high growth areas out west, Baltimore and Maryland, the Eastern Shore, that area. And I also am very interested in how this area is growing. I've been back here for 12 years now. I've been working in HR for 20 years. Recently just left the Department of Justice, where I served there for about 8. And now I'm working in Dunn, which does afford me a little bit more time to put into the community. And I said, as soon as I get back this way, I wanted to see where I could serve. With the HR background, I think that, that gives me a perspective, and also, the legal employment law background that I have. I think it gives me a strong perspective on those kind of topics, and I don't know, if there are needs there, but I can certainly speak to those from my personal experience as an HR professional. Now, my interest, particularly in planning, has a lot to do with the fact that I'm raising children here. And I do want this to be a community that they'll at least want to come visit, if not live here. So I'm very passionate about that. They already love it here. They already see this as their home. And I'd like to see that continue.
Mayor and other commissioners, I would like to disclose I have known and had the pleasure of knowing Tracy off and on for 12 years. We used to visit the same restaurants, and we've been around similar social events. So just want to put that out there.
The restaurants, does that indicate she had good judgment? Or
Well, yes, she did. Yes, she did. So I just want to put that out there.
And I have been with DOJ a couple of times, so
I helped you retire.
yes. And then I went back. Silly me. Okay.
Mr. Earl, have you, again, do you have any family members that's on the board now? Have you spoken with any board member or anyone on any other boards that has made you any promises since?
Tracy, I see. I was reading again. We've heard what you said there with the 9 years of the Department of Justice, with an emphasis on employee relations, policy making, and organizational development. So, from that, and obviously as an HR director, you are not. You are capable of speaking up when you need to speak up, and are not afraid of conflict. As I always say, we can always agree to disagree in a nice way, but we're certainly, I know that these boards are we're looking for guidance and looking for people that are actively participating, speaking, asking questions, because certainly with this board in particular, it is an advisory board to us, doing the legwork up front before it comes to us. So it does mean not being afraid to ask questions and being heard. Now, I'll tell you, I've asked 1,000 questions since I got up here, but it's the only way you know. But I see from your employee relations and policy making with that, you have experience in that area. Okay, well, thank you.
Anything else?
No. One good thing, she thinks out of the box.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Tracy.
Okay, I would, any general discussion from the board?
Nope.
We have 2 applicants. Is there a motion to select one of the 2?
Make a motion, Mr. Mayor, that we, I'll nominate Ronald Lai for the planning board.
Okay. Is there any discussion?
No, but I'm going to preface, as I always do when I vote, and you all understand, is that this is not personal decisions here, but, we either choose that we see a better candidate for the job or not. It's not that we don't approve of, if I vote against, it's not that I'm against that person. It's that I strongly feel that someone else might be a better choice. So I just want to make that clear.
Okay.
And Mr. Mayor, also, what I'm considering also is Mrs. Durham, your first choice was the ABC board, correct? So that's really where you'd rather go. So that's really where you'd rather go. And I feel it's injustice if we, but it's motions out there.
Any further discussion? Motion is to appoint Ronald Lai to the planning board in-town position for 2-year term. All those in favor of that, please raise your right hand. Against, right hand. Okay, the motion fails. Is there another motion?
I make a motion that we appoint Tracy Durham to the planning board in the open seat.
Okay, is there a discussion on that motion?
Can we? I mean, I don't know what to do. I mean, I'm friends with her. Can I abstain? Or
Only if you would receive a financial benefit.
okay,
A non-vote would be counted.
okay.
And Dan, could you speak into your microphone and repeat that again
Yes,
for
I'm sorry.
everybody? Because it is an important thing to hear.
Sure. So a board member can only abstain from voting on something if they have a direct financial benefit, is the general rule. Otherwise, you're required to vote, and a non-vote would be counted in the affirmative.
I'd say, Mayor, one thing you may want to consider is that you talk to the people that are interested in the ABC board before you make a decision
Yeah,
on
can
either
we
board. That might make
maybe
it a little-
interview
You could do that,
everybody?
That's
It might
certainly.
make your decision a little easier.
We have a motion.
Okay,
on
the
floor.
motion,
Oh, yeah.
would you,
We still have a motion.
would you want to delay the action on the motion? Or?
No.
Okay. All right. The motion is before you then. Any further discussion? All in favor of Tracy Durham as planning board in town 2-year term, please raise your right hand. That's 3 against 1. It's 3-1. Okay. Tracy, when you came, you didn't realize you might be on the planning board, but we feel like apparently that you're a good choice for that. So.
And also, we see the rapid openings on these boards as of the last 2 years. And so I do encourage, again, as I commend everybody for coming in and submitting, come back. It doesn't mean we don't want you. Please, because these we've had a lot of openings on these boards, and that could continue to happen.
Okay. So I would assume that would mean that Tracy is not eligible for the ABC board.
Right.
Is that correct?
We haven't.
We
Yeah.
don't have a ruling on that.
Nope.
But
no.
again, I've said it many times before, and I'm going to say it again tonight. I don't understand multitasking on these boards when we have too many people that do want these positions and more opinions and more ideas. So that's where I stand, and I've just said it again for the public. So we should have something, but we don't.
Mr. Mayor, I guess since I fall in that category of being on multiple boards, I think it would be unfair to her if she wasn't given a chance to speak about her experiences with the ABC board, since it is her first choice.
Okay. Without objection, I'll allow that. Okay, let's go in reverse order. Risha has withdrawn. Let's see. We can do nominations. Do you want to hear from all of them, or do you want to?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's hear from
I
all
think
of
we
them.
need to interview all of them.
Yeah, okay. Tim Thompson?
Tim Thompson, 3199 NC 55W. Mayor Smith, members of the board, thank you for considering me for this position. I know you've got a lot on your agenda tonight, so I'll be brief. I don't want you to grab that gavel too. I'm just going to give you a quick synopsis of how I came to inquire about the ABC board. I've worked for Farm Bureau Insurance Company in this area for about 30 years, and about 10 years ago, I moved my office here to Andrew, and immediately got involved in the community, got involved with the chamber, and I've served on the chamber board for the last 10 years, running in multiple capacities, most recently vice president. Howard Babbitt, who is, I got the privilege of serving with him on the chamber board for the last 3 years. I knew he was on the ABC board, and I kind of inquired about what it was all about. Did some research myself, studied up on what it was about, how the funding came to the town, and just really felt like that it would be something that I would like to be involved in. Another way to give back to the community. This community's given a lot to me, and just another opportunity for me to give back to the community. So,
I see.
With that said, I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have of me.
Questions, board?
No, just a comment. Thank you so much for all that you've done for the town of Andrew. I see
Amen.
at all of the ribbon cuttings and all the functions and everything. So, and you're well known throughout the community. So, thank you for your service.
Amen.
Tim, I'm going to ask you, just like I've asked everybody else, do you have any family members that works at the ABC store?
Absolutely do not.
Has anybody on this board or any other board made you any promises that you would be on this board?
No, they have not.
Okay.
Again, I do want to point out, yes, I've known Tim for a very long time. I've had the pleasure of serving on several things with him. Just putting it out there for the public
No,
that,
exactly.
yes, I do know of his assets to those functions. Thrilled to have candidates like that. It's still wanting to broaden scope with that. So thank you, Tim.
Okay. Anything else? All right. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Tom Taylor.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the board. My name is Thomas Taylor. I live at 871 North Benton Street here in Angier. I'm a retired manager. I have served on numerous boards. I'm a past president of the chamber many years ago. And I just would like to continue to give back to this town that has been so gracious to me. I can answer any questions.
Mr. Taylor, I have served with you on the ABC board previously,
Yes, sir.
and with your knowledge, so well growth of knowledge. I'm going to ask you the same thing. Do you have any family members that works at the ABC store?
No, sir.
Has anybody on this board or any other previous board made you any promises that you would be put on this board?
No, sir.
Thank you.
Tom, I have 2 questions for you. Again, I've known you for years as well. I'm sure it's on here again. How many years did you actually serve on the ABC board? You put in quite a bit of time there, did you not?
Probably 15 years.
I'm going to ask a question, and I'm not so sure how to even phrase it, because, I certainly was, when you didn't continue that service over there, was disappointed at that time. With your history of it and knowing some of the dramas that's not what the word is, but that did happen with the ABC board and the changes that did occur, do you think that would in any way influence how you would approach the board at this time?
Mr. Coates, I don't think it would. I have no hard feelings from having not been reappointed at the time it happened. I have been to many of the board meetings since and have participated in the meetings.
Good.
Not a lot. I tend not to stay very much. But I think the new board has done an excellent job. I thought our board did a good job too. We built a new store and got it up and running.
You were part of
Made it
that.
very
And
successful.
got it
Yes.
paid for.
And this board has continued
Yes.
that, and I have no problems with that at all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions?
Thank you.
Tom, thank you. Joe Langley.
Good Good evening, and Joe Langley, 298 Kirk Adams Road. And I need to, first of all, let you know that I have been most of my 30 years that I've been back in Anger. I was not aware, or I was always under the impression that you could not serve on a board unless you lived in the town limits, and I don't. So I was quite surprised when I recently found that out. But let me begin by saying that I'm eager to serve on the ABC board, as I am passionate about promoting responsible consumption of alcoholic beverages. With my background in finance and accounting, I'm well equipped to ensure that the profits from the stores are used in a responsible and impactful manner that benefits the community. If I'm chosen, I plan to engage the local citizens, gather their input, and provide feedback to the ABC board to make sure that the decisions made are in line with their desires. I believe that my ability to communicate effectively and my commitment to making a positive impact make me a strong candidate for the role. And are there any questions?
Question?
I do.
Go with yours, Junior.
Same questions.
I don't have
Do you have anybody
no
that
relatives.
works at that store?
No.
Does anybody on this board, any previous boards, or we have now made you any promises?
No.
Thank you.
Well, once again, Joe, I'm going to say, I mean, like I said, I know all three of these, so far, these gentlemen very well, and we're blessed to have this group of people want to work and serve on these committees. And I wish we had this, as I said, I wish we had this tough decision all the time. So
Thank you.
I thank you.
Now, let me get this straight. There's a lot of interest here. There are no free samples down at the ABC board, are there? Is it? I just wanted to clarify that. All right. Tracy, would you like to add anything to what you said before?
Not really, not particularly about serving on the ABC board. My general interest was just to serve here in Ander in my community. So wherever y'all see fit,
Thank
Any
you.
questions? All right. Any discussion from the board?
No, but I'd like to nominate Tim Thompson.
Okay, the nomination, Tim Thompson is nominated. Any discussion on that? Are you ready to vote? All in favor of Tim Thompson for a 3-year term on the ABC board, please raise your right hand.
I can't raise 3 hands, or I would. So
Okay.
that's the
All
problem.
right.
I'm gonna
Okay,
raise it too, but I tell you, we got some strong candidates in here tonight.
we do. And
There will be other positions open soon, I promise you.
Please keep him on file because we have a good pool this time.
Please
Okay,
do
I
come
agree.
back.
Okay, so Tim, congratulations. Okay. All right. Moving on. Road closure requests for 2023. I would suggest that these are fairly routine. Could the board simply approve those? Do you want to say anything?
Just the list is right there. There's really nothing I can add more to it. So
Are there any questions from the board about the road closures are for events over the next year?
yes, sir.
And all the events you have already come to us with that we've already approved, that there's nothing
There's
out,
nothing new.
huh?
There's nothing new.
There's nothing
With
out
the
there.
exception of Cinco de Mayo, but it's a small. It's just like it would be a concert event.
Mhm.
It's just to celebrate that.
I mean, these are pretty standard as to what they were before, correct? I mean, that's the way I see it. I did have one question, and you'll have to help me out here because I don't remember seeing that one. And it is just the road closure on St. Patrick's Day.
We are going to be closing, it's a small one, so we're closing that side of Broad Street.
When you say
In
that
front
side,
of Napper Tandy's,
The
right?
East side,
The intersection.
right,
Back to-
from the depot back to Lillington.
to Lillington.
Yes.
And the hours again on that were what?
That is the hours that Robert has given to me so far, and they're from 1, because it's a Friday, from 1 until 9. That he has a couple of bands that he's gonna.
Right.
No, I saw that one, and right away in my head, I just thought, oh my gosh, try to get through the intersection, in this town. Never mind Friday and St. Patrick's. I'm a little concerned about closing that street down to an already overburdened traffic. I don't know if there are alternate times, hours. I don't know, but that one flagged me immediately. I just thought, I'm not quite sure. Nothing against Napper Tandy's or anything, or the celebration
So
of
you
the.
said that's on a Friday?
Yes.
And they're requesting to shut it down when? At
From 1 to 9.
1 to
The
9.
hours that.
And you've already spoke with the chief of police and the police officers at the police department about this is all put together. Okay.
We can always go back and talk to Robert about it. And I can ask if he can maybe move it. Because I know he does have a couple bands coming, and maybe
Yeah.
we can just, I want to say 6?
But when you say bands coming, they're not performing out in the street.
No, but he wants to have the flow. He wants to have people be able to come from the depot parking lot across without any.
Yeah, I know last year they had a pretty big crowd show up
Yeah.
for their first time.
Bagpipes and the whole 9
Yeah.
yards.
Well, that was for their opening. I mean, that was
Yeah.
in celebration of opening. They didn't shut down the street.
Right.
Well, they
Right.
shut half of it down.
I mean, and that
Yeah, I
wasn't
think they
during
did.
rush hour.
Yeah.
That wasn't a rush hour thing, I don't think either.
Right.
I mean, it
that was on a
around,
Saturday, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, just a little concerned here. It is. We all know what it's
Pull
like
that
to try and
one
get
off if you
through
want to.
downtown.
We put a hold on it.
And we can bring back more information if you want to pull
Could
that
you?
one
I mean,
off.
I'd like to actually hear from the chief of police as to how he feels that works.
Mr. Adams is here, and I'm pretty sure he's
But-
familiar with it.
I was mostly curious, if there's nothing going on in the street itself, then could that not occur during certain hours?
Is there a lot of cross traffic at 5?
Yes.
Okay. I'm over on 55 fighting that, so I didn't know.
Road closures are important for events like this because of safety of pedestrians and the crowds. Don't know what the new proposals are.
It's just that this one's this different. The other ones are all the same ones as before.
Okay, and what would this new one do?
It's closing on from that part of Broad Street back to Lillington, where the depot is. That little section. So a lot of people do. Yes, a lot of people do cut through from 55 on it.
Yeah, that is, one past event, we did have that closed, and I did see people trying to come down through that area, which causes a risk. So if we could have that one event, because if we could have that approved, that would make that area a lot safer for pedestrians, people going back and forth in that area.
Well,
And
don't
also gives a good place for fire and rescue to stage.
we close that same area for other events?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but they're on Saturdays.
Saturday.
They're not usually on Friday afternoon.
This is from 1 to when?
9.
And you talk with the other business owners there, and they don't have a problem with it?
As of right now, they do not know.
And it did, it could be closed up to the Andrew Meat Market maybe, so that would leave those businesses free to move.
I mean, if you've done all your homework, I mean, I got no problem with it. I know it's bad timing during the day, but it is what it is.
Being St.
Well, you
Patrick's
can't do
Day,
it on
too, a lot of
Saturday
places
because it's
probably-
not going to be St. Patrick's
Right.
Day.
Right.
You know, so
You want to get back and have a conversation with Robert about it?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
I'm not gonna.
Because a lot of places might
I'm
be
not
closed
going to
during St.
squelch it.
Patrick's Day.
That's why I didn't see activities going on in the street, and if we were just blocking it for people to walk across, which by the way, we need a crosswalk there desperately in that block anyway. where people had to stop for pedestrians. But I'm not trying to squelch the event in any way. I'm just questioning blocking up a Friday afternoon in a place that's really bad already. But no, I'm fine with it. I would want to make sure that the police have a plan, and I mean helping direct traffic. If we're going to block it off, we know how we keep them moving out of those intersections there and back down at Ed's, and now they're cutting around to get away from it. So just planning ahead.
When the bypass comes, well, okay. Is there a motion?
I make a motion that we go ahead and approve this.
The list as
The
written?
list as stated, yep.
Okay, further discussion on that?
And I will say, given the fact that that is St. Patrick's Day, I wouldn't want this to become the norm. You know what I mean? I'm hearing that it's St. Patrick's Day, and that's the reason for doing it. But you open the floodgate, and they will come.
Well, next year it'll be
Saturday.
So then it'll be normal, and we'll probably do it during the day.
Yeah.
You ready to vote?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
All in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand. And there's no one opposed, so it's approved. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. The elevated tank. Who's doing that? Jimmy. So we got two choices, either struts or no struts.
A or B choice.
Yeah.
We've had so many good choices to work with tonight. So I think Veronica's going to pull up the couple pictures that we have. So as you know, we're working on taking in having a new water tank built there along Junie Road. So we're at the process now. We need to make a decision on what type of tank we want to move forward with. Our Andrew tank that was put up back in 2017, I believe. This is a spheroid tank that you currently have there at Kennebec Road. That's one of your options. That option is a little bit higher than what your leg tank would be.
That's 500,000 cheaper for this, right?
That is correct, yes, sir.
There's no brainer there.
I mean,
As long as it holds water.
I like the way the other one looks, but hey, that one works, right?
Correct. So the leg tank will be similar to what you have at Door Street. The Door Street is 100,000. This one will be a 500,000 gallon tank. And so we just need a decision tonight so we can inform the engineer so we can go ahead and proceed with the engineering and environmental and everything.
What say ye, board members?
Well,
Whatever's cheaper.
As long as it works, it holds 400,000 more gallons. As long as Jimmy don't see any downside to it, I would make a motion that we go with this one.
I was going to comment, but since we all seem to be in agreement, $500,000 is a lot of money.
A lot of
Yes,
money.
it is.
And I'm glad we found a place to put it, and it is off on maybe a side road, you might call it, not the main thoroughfare. I understand the choice of the one coming into town, which is right there at the city limits where you're coming in, but here, $500,000 is a lot of money.
Yes.
And if they both do the same job, I think we can spend that money in other ways.
Yes, sir.
Sounds like you're ready to vote. All in favor, raise your right hand. It's unanimous. Okay.
Leg tank it is.
Go and do it. All right. The alley and parking lot layout on East Lillington. Is that you too, Jimmy?
That is correct. Yes, sir.
Tell us about it.
All right. So for several months now, we've been working on the property behind Thanks a Latte, the alleyway off of Lillington Street, and we've come up with a couple configurations, and we thought this one would be our best. If you're looking at the drawing, Lillington Street is at the bottom, so you would drive up into the entrance. Right.
Can you
there.
make that a little larger, please?
Yeah.
Well,
We could. Moving it.
okay, so down at the bottom is Lillington Street.
That's correct. So I'll move forward. So you've got Lillington Street here, and Thanks a Latte here. So we would basically bounce to the existing sidewalk here, have sidewalk come up so we can tie it into between our two buildings in the alleyway there. So you have sidewalk in there. This area right here, the dumpsters, enclosures will be on the right, and then parking would be past that. Right here on the left-hand side, we want to put a 5-foot sidewalk there, but we want to tie it into the existing asphalt so that the property owners can actually access their property. If we were to put the parking stalls on the store sides with the bumpers there, they could not access their property. So if they needed to, for whatever reason, to access their property, they could come into a parking lot, back up to their back doors. And then you would just exit out back to the right. So this is just for pedestrian traffic only. No large trucks will be able to come through because they can't come all the way around between the old library there. I think it's the dentist office there. So
Okay.
just to be small vehicles.
So explain again now. This property is to the right of the former road through there, right?
This is the property that we acquired.
Which is to the right, to the east of where the alleyway was, right?
We own the top part here. This is the town parking lot that we own now. This is just adjacent to it.
Okay, but what's going on to the left of that?
The left,
Yes,
this area right here is the sidewalk.
to the left of that.
These are the stores.
Is that not where trucks and other vehicles approach the rear of the stores?
Well, if you recall, that when Thanks Latte was put in, they put in the deck and ramp to the property. So it closed off access through there.
Okay, so that curb and guttering down there on the bottom left is not going to interfere with any other access to the stores.
Basically, we're creating a better position for them. They're actually crossing town property. Then they could turn left to go into their property.
How do they turn left? Where is that? They cross the sidewalk?
So once you turn into this driveway, this is your access. Then they needed to back up to their property, they could back up to their property.
But isn't there a sidewalk there?
Sidewalk's going to be level with the ground, so they can basically back up. It won't be a raised sidewalk.
Okay, how wide is that entrance there?
The entrance is probably about 20 foot or so.
Fire department has no issue.
No, sir. Like I said, you just won't be able to drive a commercial truck all the way through and then turn back to the right. Because we own like I said, the parking lot and then the alleyway coming out back to Dunn Street.
Gotcha.
To that entrance is large enough for a garbage truck to get in there, pick up the dumpsters and back out.
How about
But
leaving?
no delivery trucks, right?
You can, a delivery truck can go in there.
But they'll have to back in or back out or forward.
Correct.
Okay.
So the exit up there is not wide enough for delivery trucks?
No.
Delivery trucks can't pull all the way through. With it being low traffic, they could come in, back in, and probably come right back out.
Okay.
But the reason we're going to do concrete from where the, can you scroll back up a little bit? Please? So basically from where the dumpsters are down, that's going to be concrete, because those trucks will twist and turn. We don't want them damaging that.
And I noticed it's going to be on an angle, so they can just.
That's correct, yes, sir. So they can angle in to dump, and then they will back out.
And did you kind of check that, Jimmy, with our local trash provider, or, I mean, just to get an idea from them?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I have one other question. I'm looking at it here on my diagram more than yours, but I don't know that I see it. Hold on. Yes, I do. If you would scroll down just a little bit. Okay, that's good. Jimmy, between the parking lot that exists right now.
At the top.
And what's being added in the bottom. There's a box in the middle that's much smaller. I still see parking stalls, and I'm wondering, is this in the diagram you just giving the indication of the width of a parking space?
That's correct.
It's just really one continuous line
Correct.
of spaces. When I see those, I saw it, and the other one is giving width of the road. And it looked like a whole separate thing going on right there.
We could get more. We could get more parking stalls parked parallel like that versus at a 45-degree angle. We could get more in, so that's why they're all like that instead of at an angle.
Gotcha. It looked like there was something special right in there in the middle, but now I see you've just done dimensions. Is there room in there to? Oh, I see it. This is only a one-way traffic venture.
Correct.
Okay, that's what I needed to.
Okay, so you can back out easily and
right.
And
You're not going to be
around.
passing a car coming at you in another direction because it's one way only, in and out of there.
One of the things we may have to do, because we're limited on our areas, so where those light poles are, our sidewalks are going to go on the store sides of those light poles. And we're hoping we have enough area to be able to put our water meters. Right now, our water meters currently are on basically the back side of the asphalt where the utility easement is.
Mm-hmm.
So when we get to fine tuning, we may have to look at trying to acquire a little bit of a utility easement, maybe a 5-foot utility easement from the property owners. So we'll know that when we fine tune that a little bit closer.
Okay.
We've got a cluster of meters, about 5 or 6 meters right there together, almost about midway up the parking lot.
Okay.
And so the concrete sidewalk, it'll be poured 6 inches thick, so it'll accommodate if a truck backs across that.
Mm. And how many spaces did you actually get out of that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 17, 18?
I think there's 18 of them.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, that certainly helps.
And the fact that you're going to build a masonry screen to those dumpsters.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay.
Jimmy, we're also extending the sidewalk.
Correct. Thank you, sir. We're also going to extend the sidewalk all the way down to Dunn Street and just go ahead and complete the whole block. So we'll go to Dunn Street, turn it, and then there'll be 2 handicap ramps down there at the end of Dunn Street. Just go ahead and complete the block.
Okay.
Great.
Mayor, since we have him up here, can I ask him one question about the water tank?
Sure.
Jimmy, the water tank that's going to be on Junie Street, are y'all just going to have the 8-foot fencing around it? How are you doing it on that lot?
So we'll have fencing. Right now it's an acre lot.
Mhm.
So depending on what the footprint of the tank is, we'll probably go out an additional 20 feet just to give us enough room to get it into the tank and work around the tank.
Are we going to have any shrub or anything? Because I'm going to be honest with you, I live off of Junie Street, and the one that we have there is tacky. And I've had nothing but complaints about it. They say it's an eyesore, and now it's right in front of my subdivision, and I've had a lot of complaints.
So what we usually do, and this is what we do with pump station requirements, pump station being the same as a water tank, other than you see the water tank. And
right.
So we'll have the slats, the either green or black slats, just hiding what's inside the fence.
Okay.
And we'll do landscaping around that. We'll put some crepe myrtles in there, and then some other vegetation to grow and then hide the fence.
So it
Put
looks
a chain link
just-
fence up
yeah.
for security.
Right,
But,
right.
Yes, ma'am. So we'll landscape that.
And the tank, the previous one, or is that coming down, or?
So the tank at Junie Road, the 750, will eventually come down. That's going to be a cost to the town. We can look at that
Right.
long term.
Okay.
And the one on Door Street, we've got communications on that. We've got 2 options. So we can transfer the communications to this new tank and then demo the old one, or if you want to keep it, since it's been built since 1935, we can keep it or we can take it down. So those are
Okay.
options, but there are costs that I think when we estimated the Junie Road tank was somewhere between $75,000
Yeah.
to take it down.
Yeah, that's probably more now.
But didn't you need to keep the current Junie Road tank to provide fire protection
Both of those tanks will stay in place until we have the new one built.
in service?
That's correct.
Right.
So,
Okay.
So,
Okay.
and one, yes, sir. So to follow up on that, that's another project that we're working on is, right now because of the Junior Road tank, it needs to stay in service to provide enough fire flow for, Bulldog.
Okay.
But once the new tank comes on, then we can take that tank offline.
Now, was that land donated, or did we purchase that land from Bulldog, or what?
It's acquired.
Okay. I'm just, these are the questions my constituents want to know, so,
As of right now, it's no cost to us.
okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So the standpipe tank was a little hard to maintain, as I recall.
Correct. So right now, because of not being able, it's 750,000 gallons of water, so it's difficult to turn that water over. So you see, I mean, Ms. Lewis probably seen us where we've been out there flushing that tank. We've got to keep the chlorine residual up. If the chlorine residual gets down in there, then we have to lower the tank and then get it filled back
Okay.
up. So,
Yeah.
Any further questions?
No.
Thank you.
yes, ma'am.
Is there a motion?
Make a motion that we approve it.
Okay. This is talking about the Lillington Street
Yeah.
thing. Okay, the motion is that we approve the proposal. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay, it's unanimous. All right. You got anything else, Jimmy?
Next one.
Yeah, okay.
Mr. Mayor, before we go any further, Veronica, when is Tim effective? Tonight?
Yes, well, we can swear him in at the first planning board meeting, which is on the 14th.
Which is Thursday?
Yes.
Okay.
No, Tuesday, next Tuesday.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I've got number 5. All right, so this is the area right down there that we purchased, the town purchased from Mr. Morris Coates several months ago. And so to help with the downtown parking
Tuesday
that we had.
Thursday.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I just want clarification. You just said the planning board meeting is Tuesday, correct?
It is.
But it's this Thursday for the ABC.
Yeah, it's Thursday night,
So would he be
Veronica.
sworn in Thursday?
It's this Thursday
Oh,
night.
that's right, he's on the ABC.
Yeah,
I'm
he's on the-
sorry.
yeah.
I apologize, yes, this Thursday.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I just wanted clarification.
Proceed, Jimmy.
A lot of moving parts today. All right, so
There's
this is the area that that we purchased from Morris Coates, and we're looking at doing the additional parking in the downtown area. We basically drew this up with the future farmers market, so don't have to take that into consideration as much, but we just kind of try to combine both of those so we can fine tune that later on. So we just really want to focus on the part along South Broad Street west over to South Broad Street in that area.
Okay.
And so, so basically what you would do with the additional parking here is you would come in from Lillington Street, and you can see how these are hashed at an angle. And this would also just be a one-way through, and we would actually attach, where Church Street comes through now, this would actually be a through street now, all the way through. That way, you come in from Lillington, come all the way down, park, back out, and then come out and Church Street and turn right or left there. Or if you came back up South Broad Street west, got the diagonal parking there.
What's the net new parking spaces?
Sorry.
What's the net new parking spaces?
I think I'd have to count them up, Mayor. I didn't have that in front of me on those. So, probably looking at
Looks like 25, something like that.
25 and 30.
Good job. Good job.
And so, and basically what we looked at doing too is with this, once we get it designed, there's trees through there now. So those trees will actually be islands. And what we're going to do with those is actually install electrical conduit. So for future events or anything else like down there, that would be available.
Good. Mr. Mayor, I like it. I'd like to make the motion that we approve the proposed plans that he has there.
Okay, is there any further discussion?
Not that this has anything to do with that. I want to ask, 'cause so you're saying these, that of course, would include some vegetation and
Correct. There's existing trees there.
that
now
will remain, that
that's
could remain.
That's correct. The way it's designed is, you've seen the curves where it's protecting the vegetation.
Yeah.
That's what we'll have around those trees.
Well, I'm highly encouraging crepe myrtles, especially right here in this location.
Right.
Yep.
If there's
So we can
something's got to be
remove
planted, please do that. And you're talking about now thinking ahead of. I had another question though to come back at you here in a minute with the sidewalks. You're talking about putting electricity in there now. So indeed, if those trees were to want to be lit at Christmas or functions are still going on, that lot is closed up for an event or whatever, you have access to power in there to power whatever is needed to be powered. Because I'm looking ahead and I know that we're taking, land away that would have been used at times for our town events. But I also know from experience there are other options, and we're only looking at the parking lot right now, as opposed to the whole the ultimate goal is. We know that there are other options of closing up other areas, and we certainly can't hold a piece of land for 2 events in a year. And this is needed with our growth. Go down there right tonight. What is going on coming to Nappertandy's. It is slammed down there, and they're parking all over that lot anyway. And Grace Ballroom, because there's no one there yet, they're using it, and that's going to come to a stop. But I'm thrilled to see what's here. Jimmy, with this, my screen is not going to move. You got to use
Part of our thinking was the same because, they had, when the chamber had their events down there, they utilized that lot area for everything. A lot of them they were bringing generators to try to generate. So
absolutely.
That was the reason for doing that in those islands as well.
Totally. I don't see, point out to me very quickly, if you could, where sidewalks will be involved.
So you've got your original sidewalk that's along South Broad Street now.
Mm-hmm. That's
already installed. And so there'll be sidewalks along basically in the islands on those. So you've got your existing sidewalk here, South Broad Street, and then this will just be pedestrian crossing here.
Right. I would ask that you keep in mind, and I know we did a portion, and I'm not saying that that's needed everywhere, but where it is appealing and certainly a place that's looked at, in the section that you did replace from the corner of the light down to Nappertandy's, you broke it up and incorporated some brick into that strip. I would encourage you, if that's a possibility, as we, because hope is, as we keep going down the street, and doing those repairs, that we are able to do it with that nice, appealing look, as opposed to just. So I'm saying, if that's an option here, please keep that in mind. If that we could, it's certainly much more attractive to the eye than just the cement strip. So
no, if I'm not mistaken, the reason why you put the brick in there was for access for utilities, correct?
Some of it was for that, yes, sir, and then some of it was just to break it up. So, but yes,
no, it was a double-edged thing. Certainly more appealing.
Sell bricks and put your names on it.
Right. We don't need to do that. But
one of the things that I had noticed, I went to the Holly Springs to the new Lowe's. If you haven't been up there, and where they did that stamped asphalt, I think where we put these crosswalks may look at trying to do something like that.
That would be nice.
It up. So
certainly.
I have to go make a prediction here. One of these days, we're going to have to do a parking deck. There's just not much room left for parking.
Wouldn't that be nice?
It would.
The reason traffic's so bad down there tonight, I'm supposed to be making a speech at 8:30.
Now, mind you, on these 2 projects, these are preliminary, so we'll go ahead and if this one gets approved tonight, we'll let the engineer go ahead and get everything drawn in.
Great.
And then once that's approved, if there's any changes, we'll bring it back to you. If not, we'll proceed forward. And next steps will be, once it's engineered, then we'll have to bid that out and get those built.
Mr. Cook, speaking of being approved tonight, there's a motion on the floor.
Yep.
Okay. I'm willing. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor of the approval of this project, raise your right hand. Okay, it's unanimous. All right.
Andrew's changing, isn't it, Jimmy?
That's going on.
Man,
Thank you so much for your time.
we
Thank
got
you so
another
much.
page to do here. Okay. All right, Jimmy, thank you.
3-0, Jim.
Mr. Manager, item 6.
Okay, at your last meeting, you did a salary increase for Public Works, and you asked that we go back and take a look at all of the remaining staff, which I think was a total of 12 employees. Based on the same 12% salary increase, your total cost for all 12 would be $97,121.83 cents. I know Mr. Coates asked, okay, where's all this money coming from? Your current sales tax for this fiscal year will be about $330,000 above what you budgeted, which will actually cover the cost of all three separate salary increases. If you select, to do all three, that same $330,000 covers, will also be available next year. So your sales tax growth will cover what you've already done, and it would cover this third phase if you choose to move forward, and that's what would fund it in future years.
Mm-hmm.
And your sales tax are really doing well, and I don't expect those to decline anytime soon. You're in this, particular area. We got strong sales. I mean, you got Raleigh-Durham, it attracts all the people in this area.
Plus the bypass will be
And you got continued
commercial, yes.
growth. Yeah. So I don't see your sales tax numbers going down anytime soon. But it would fund all three options if you choose to move forward with this third one.
And this will be for everybody, correct?
Yes.
That's the remaining people.
Even the newcomers that haven't even been here for
A year.
Oh Lord.
I'm going to just jump right in and say something. And it is, I know you're offering projections, and I would love to hope that that money is there. But we have already obligated ourselves to a lot of money in places. We're only, I think I calculated, we're only 4 months away from a new budget. Only 4 months. And if I need to spit out where we've spent this money that I don't know where it's coming from, water spill, sewer spill, cleanup fines that are coming from the state, replacement of management, and the double expense that it is. This money was not in the budget. And I am alarmed at zapping and seeing money being continued. I mean, we just did a budget analysis here, and they said, well, you're tapping into reserve fund, you're tapping your reserve fund. Now, granted, are we still above the 50%? Yes, we are. But do we need to sit at minimum? I'm alarmed, personally. And we're only, like I said, 4 months away from a new budget being approved. I personally feel that this can wait to really get the numbers down on paper, find out exactly what we're getting from taxes, because we don't really know yet. Let's see a budget that can sustain this money that we are putting out. And, that's my personal feeling. I am so sorry that I'm not, again, and the question is going to come up. We just gave 12% raises. Are we going to do that? Are we going to give raises again in 4 months as we look at a new budget? Exactly. I mean, those questions have already come to my mind. And something that LaRue just brought up, we're talking about giving employees that have been here less than a year or a year.
Less than 6 months.
That kind of increase. I don't know. I'm a little concerned at where and how quickly we are spending money out of that reserve fund. And I want to see some budgets from Hans and from you that we can sustain with the increase in taxes and that the money is there. I would love to think that, yes, we're going to get more sales tax. We're going to get those things, but it's an unknown. We're hoping. That's me personally putting this out there.
And I'm with you. Can we table this?
On June 30th fund balance last year, you just found out what that was. Now, this current budget year, you took $400,000 additional money out of that fund balance to pay for the storm drainage project. You also took out, I think, $500,000 for the sidewalk project. You've got 2 other sidewalk projects pending. Will require a future match. But you know what you've spent this year out of fund balance. Because you've already budgeted that.
Can we table this a month and you come back with some real solid numbers?
I don't think we'll have solid numbers till we get into May or June.
That's what I'm saying. We got a budget coming up here really soon.
We got some numbers out of Wake County, and I think we went from like 800 million to like it's a pretty substantial increase for Wake. I mean,
right.
Hardin County, we don't have any of their numbers yet. So.
Right.
Yeah. I just saw them today, but they were substantial. I mean, it's a good size increase. But I mean, you really won't know what your obligations are until you get to budget. On the no sales tax, for the first 5 months, we are 17% above what we were last year. And you were about $100,000 under budget. You budgeted about $100,000 less than you took in last year. So if you take that $100,000 and you're 17% ahead of what you were last year, I mean, that's where that, $300,000 comes by the end of the year. So I feel pretty confident on that number. I think you'll see those numbers.
Can we put a stipulation that anybody, oh man, I hate to do this. You have to be here. I'm really going to be pissing off people. I just don't know how we can justify it with people that just got here. Because with what we're looking at, that is a big jump in pay.
Big, yeah. And that wasn't figured in from when we did the survey.
Well, I will say this, so we do have some names on that list. For example, Parks and Rec, guys that works out there with their hands every day. Their salary, I mean, I'd like to be able to do it for all, but I mean, there's some there that needs increases.
4 months.
4
months, new budget is coming up.
I mean, I talked with you this morning. I went and talked to Richard, and I mean, he explained that we can. I mean, I hope we can trust the town with this guy and Hans. They wouldn't even come to us with a 12% raise for everybody if we couldn't afford it. I mean, right?
Yeah, just keep in mind. I mean, if you do all three, that $300,000 is all going to salary.
It's all going to salary. Yeah.
And Richard, are you calculating?
You can't pave streets and you can't do anything else with it.
No, we can't do it. That's all of it. And did you calculate in the other expenses that that we are incurring in the meanwhile? Double salary, you and Jerry. That money's coming from somewhere.
You have enough excess funds already this year that would cover those costs.
Is the amount of money we're talking about just for the balance of the year?
The $300,000 would be your additional cost going forward.
Okay, but for the rest of the year.
An additional $300,000 a year just in sales.
Okay, but you're only talking about $100,000 for the rest of the year, right?
And your sales taxes, you're going to collect at least $100,000 more this year in sales tax than your budget, probably more.
The proposed number would be
You got enough to
97,000.
cover this year, and with the sales tax, you got enough to cover that forward if that's what you choose to spend that money on. You're gonna have other obligations, you're gonna have other needs, you're gonna have other wants. But you can't spend this money twice, so it's either goes to salaries or.
Could have another sewer break here in another month's time.
And the water and sewer is a little different because you're paying for that out of your rates.
Right, that comes out of a different thing.
It's just gonna cover those costs.
Right, that comes out of a different thing.
Well, they don't have it. We got to bring it out of that general fund.
Yeah, but your water and sewer fund should be sufficient to cover those costs.
Okay, good discussion.
Okay, now, if we do it for one, we gotta do it for all?
Oh, I see what you're asking.
What do you mean?
That's my problem. I would love to be able to give everybody. But I can't in good conscience, if somebody's only been here for 4 months or 6 months, they haven't even been here a year, and jump them to a huge pay
Positions
increase.
is that, Miss Holly?
Huh?
What position is that?
Top one.
The top one? What employees have been here less than a year?
Coordinator.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
We're getting ready to hire the planner one. Hang on, let me look at the list. Just to make sure.
Because I know when we go to the new budget,
Depends on which one we go with.
No. She's been here over a year.
and I'm not saying anybody's not doing a fabulous job. Just put that out there. Believe me, we love y'all. Y'all are fabulous. But we've got to be really looking at the budget.
So the planning director position is less than 6 months. The planning permit technician position is less than a year. The community development coordinator is less than 6 months as of right now, and the rest of them have been here over a year.
Perhaps we should have done all of this at one time.
Can we adjust the percentage maybe? I don't want to not give them anything.
Well, is it the 4 months adjusting a percentage? Because it brings it down to 1/3. In terms of total cost.
I guess my point is if you were hiring those positions right now, you probably wouldn't be able to hire at that rate.
We're adjusting the base.
You did 12% for the other two, so yeah.
Mr. Mayor, I would, it's going to come to vote one way or the other anyway. I'd like to make a motion that we do the 12% increase to everyone with the exception of the 2 people that's been here less than 1 year.
There's 3.
Huh?
There's 3.
No?
You probably, you don't need to do it by person. You could just say for anyone who's been here a year or longer. That you would approve it for anyone who's been here more than a year.
Okay.
And by the time the new budget comes, you could.
And that would, yeah.
And then
All right, I revisit the motion. I'd like to make a motion that we do the 12% increase in salary with the exception of anyone that's been here less than 1 year.
Okay. Further discussion? If not, all in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? Okay. The motion fails.
What's the board, Mr. Mayor, but what's the board recommend? 4 months? You want to wait 4 months?
Already stated, I don't, I would like to see this in the new budget,
Okay.
which is only 4 months from now. It has to be approved.
The reason I asked that, you don't want to table it next month or get more.
No,
figures from him.
no.
To be honest,
Not for me.
We with everybody else.
Yeah, we need
That's,
to do
that's my
something for
concern.
'em.
Okay.
Fairness.
Next.
Is it possible to approve part of it and then pick up the rest of it next year?
I mean, there had to be a motion made. I made the motion I had died. My motion was to approve the 12% increase on all the workers that's on the list, with the exception of the ones that's been here less than 1 year, which would knock out
3 of them.
three.
What's the difference?
Of course, again, you're only talking about 4 months. You're talking about a third of the cost. And then you have to address it next year in the budget,
Yeah,
right?
but you've done it for all these other people. And then these people are in a different category, a different department. It's not fair. Because we don't need them thinking that they're not as important. Yep.
Right, and they haven't gotten anything in a while
And
either.
they, yeah, exactly.
Commissioner Hawley, you voted no.
I know it is.
Well, and as I said at the last meeting, guys, we had a budget retreat last year, and if you'd wanted to give a 12% increase, that was the time to do it. And here we are jumping in the middle of the year doing this. Right now, I feel that we can wait 4 more months to do this. But you've had one motion turned down, so you've either got to make a second motion or come back again in next month and present a second motion.
What about a partial now and finish it out next year? Like a 6% for the
6%.
balance of the year. And
Melissa, did you come up with a figure?
If my figures are correct for those 3 positions, it's around 20,500.
So you're talking
So
77,000 is change that we'd have to spend. It was at 97,000.
yeah, it's like 76 and a half.
76 and a
That's
half.
what taking those 3 out.
That's what taking those 3 out.
What about if we get, I'm trying to, what about we go 10% and take the 3 out?
is that a motion?
We'll see what the
I don't have the spreadsheet. That was something that
Only
Richard
problem
put together.
Make a motion to do 10% and we take the 3 out.
Ms. Hawley, I guess you're going to ask for a discussion. The only reason problem I'd have with that is we set a precedence with the other. And we did 12% with the other. I mean, that's
right.
that's the only problem.
No,
I mean,
you're right.
We're not really having discussion from the floor right now,
I mean, it's up to the board. Yeah.
unless
Who
the
wanted to
board
speak?
wants it to happen.
Oh.
Is there objection from the board?
I think there has to be a consensus of the board to allow someone to speak.
Is there a consensus of the board that we allow Tom to speak?
Exactly, no.
Let's just let us finish this discussion right now. Yeah, we're sorry, Tom. We're kind of under the gun here. Okay.
I'm hesitant to do this, but I really take the motion that you price that on the floor.
Once again, the 300 and some thousand is for a whole year, right?
Yes.
So between now and the end of the budget year, we're only talking about a third of that.
90-some thousand.
Well,
You will have it,
yeah.
but you don't, I mean.
We don't have it to do anything else.
True.
We're gonna do it when you do it now, because you've got other municipalities that are trying to move people Saying, I hear the talk.
Okay, the re-motion has been made. Any further discussion? The motion is to do 12% raise between now and the end of the fiscal year, excluding the 3 positions that have not been here for a year. Okay. All in favor of this, raise your right hand. Okay, all right. Against? All right, it's 3-1.
Didn't want to put you under the gun, buddy.
Thank you very much. Okay. Okay. If it had been a tie, I would have had a decision to make. Okay. Thank you. All right. Okay, what else you got?
What's the next agenda item?
The authorization to purchase goods from elected official. Mr. Casacavage, I believe you need to step down into the
Yes, sir.
audience and let us discuss this.
He can sit there, he just can't participate and vote.
Yeah, I have to recuse myself.
Look
yes,
at
sir.
local government, just about all of our statutes are in chapter 168. Tucked away in statute 14-234. Most people don't even know this statute exists, but the state, recognizes that in small towns, you have limited number of businesses, and as long as you're under a population of 20,000, and several years ago it used to be 7,500, but it's been raised. You can buy from members of the board that own a business. We have bought from Mr. Casacavage in the past, and we would still like to purchase items currently. It does require board action. It cannot exceed $60,000 in a given year. I mean, we wouldn't spend that much anyway, but that's the maximum limit. And it does have to be recorded in the audit each year, and it has to be posted on our bulletin board on a rolling quarterly basis.
And it has to be done in open session.
Yes, and it has to be voted in open session, and Mr. Casacavage cannot participate in the vote. So we are asking for authorization from the town board to be able to purchase goods and materials from his business in accordance with GS 14-234.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to say, regardless of we say yes or no for Mr. Casacavage, I do know that it is sensitive and very critical that we vote on this because it is holding up some very sensitive deals that we've got going on right now in the town of Anger. It's slowing progress. So we need to make a...
Are you making the motion?
I'll make the motion that we approve and allow town of Anger to purchase goods from a sitting town board member, Mr. Jim Casacavage, whatever name your business is. Legacy Design.
In accordance with the statute.
In accordance with the statute.
The statute requires us to say at least, what types of transactions. It can be a series of transactions, but you don't have to do one of these motions for each separate transaction, but at least kind of the category of what the transactions will be, and not to exceed, I think, 60,000. But we just need some, explanation in the resolution of what we're purchasing.
So a series of transactions not to exceed 60,000.
We can't discuss that tonight.
Per year.
Well,
we buy signs.
We can say signs.
Yeah, I mean,
signs and shirts.
so that's what needs to be in the.
Yeah.
Doesn't need to be specific for each item, just kind of a category of items that we purchase.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
You got that, Madam Clerk? All right.
And just for the record, I do know he's been doing it before he became.
Yeah.
So it's going on about 5 or 6 years.
Right. Right. Okay. All in favor of allowing this, please raise your right hand. And okay, it's 3-0, which is all that can be voted. Okay.
And one more clarification here, we'll need, for each purchase, we'll need to be part of a spreadsheet that we keep track of each contract.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Okay, number 8, you got that?
I'm having trouble getting my laptop to scroll.
It's a government issued laptop?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
The host leave for NC Fellow.
Okay, we were contacted by the school of government, and they have what they call a lead fellows program, which is kind of a souped-up internship. They actually pay a graduating student a full salary for a year. They've been lucky enough to get grant funds to cover about 2/3 of the cost of that salary. This year, we want to focus on finance because that seems to be one of the biggest shortfalls in local government right now. The local government commission has numerous jurisdictions under their watch because there aren't enough finance people in local government. So this is a way of putting people out there in the field, getting them experience. I mean, I think what is appealing for Andrew, Tom, as you grow, and if you use this person for a year, you may find out, Tom, that you have a spot for this person that could provide a valuable asset to the town. You've been able to watch him for a year.
Kind of like an intern.
Yeah. At the end of the year, if you don't like them, they just leave. But you
Right.
may decide, hey, this person's really got something valuable for us. We could really use them on our staff. So you've seen them work for a year. But our cost would probably be about $10,000 for the first year. They wouldn't start until August of 2023, and it goes a year.
But we have to.
File the application in the morning. It's
That's right.
I'm on the 8th. It's about a 10-minute application process, so it's not very detailed. And you may not get approved. I think they've only got 12 slots, but they reached out to us, so I'm assuming they're looking for some
Right.
jurisdictions. I'm sure your Hans
Okay.
busy.
Lori made the motion that we
move
approve
forward on it.
this.
Yes.
Any discussion from the board?
It's just 1 year obligation. About 2/3 of it. I think they pay them a stipend of $30,000 somewhere in that range. So.
Okay, all in
Mark County's
favor?
done it twice, so not recently. So
All in favor of this, please raise your right hand. Okay, it's unanimous. All right,
Mark that down as a done deal in the budget for next year.
done deal.
Another 10.
But it only starts in August. Okay, wait a minute. Okay. Request to utilize county state grant funds. Is that you?
yeah, the chief was under the understanding that the $50,000 that went to the county that it was supposed to be given to us. I think they actually got either $1 or $2 million, and they were supposed to give each local jurisdiction $50,000. I think the prior manager kind of led the chief to believe that money was not obligated to anything. Now, LaRue, you kind of have a different.
Yes, I actually worked with a county commissioner and a senator, and I went to them to see if I could acquire $50,000 grant for our town, and I got approval for it. But the 3 items that I submitted that I wanted to have the money spent on was not for the firing range or whatever it is for. Yes, so I don't. If we could, I would like to table this so I can converse with the senator and the commissioner, because I want to make sure that we do this like we set forth to do. Is that okay?
You should be getting cash sometime very soon.
Exactly, exactly.
So
I'm
I
okay with that.
perceive that as a motion to table.
Yes, sir.
All in favor of the motion to table, please raise your right hand. Okay, and that's until the next meeting, right?
Yes,
Okay. All right.
that's fine.
Okay, until the workshop, Madam Clerk. Okay.
I mean, if we have one.
If we
Yes.
have one, or the next meeting of the board.
Right.
Okay. Okay, budget amendment. The, basically, the budget amendment, has to do with the purchase of, handheld communication radios because the old radios are going out of, they're no longer current, so they have to purchase new ones, and we're just talking about the difference between what, tell us.
You might as well just have a motion. Very good. Well said, Mr. Mayor. The Viper radios, of course, years, not all that long ago, were Motorola and whatnot. That was a very common radio to use. Regardless, we switched over to and applied for this grant so that we could actually have these, Kenwood radios.
Right.
Name brand does not matter. It does not matter.
Except Motorola, it costs more.
About
A
5
lot
times
more.
Well, I was being generous. Okay.
Quite a bit more. One, and I wanted to preface this in stating that accolades most certainly should be given to Chief Thompson. He diligently works on these grants, and they are not that easy to write up. It takes time. It really does. And it saves the town money. That's a good thing. So thankfully, the chief has done this, and through his hard work, yes, we were awarded so much, $29,000. Yet, of course, the invoice amount for it is just a bit more, but most certainly, as you can see through our financials, that our revenue is coming in far more than we have anticipated. Interest alone. I'm not going that deep, but right now, the point is that's what this budget amendment is about. In essence, it's, yes, we are receiving this money, and we are allowing PD to go ahead and increase, their allowable spending, capital outlay, of course, naturally, to go ahead and get this going, crank it out within this fiscal year so we can close it because the chief has applied for another grant already.
And
We've had
go ahead.
2 of these radios for several months now, and they seem to be holding up. I think they feel like they're going to do the job.
Well, they need them anyways because
Yeah.
Right.
they won't be they'll be useless in another year or so.
How much above the grant are we talking about?
About $5,565. Of course, that's not including tax, but that again, that's irrelevant because we get reimbursed.
Get that back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, is there a motion
I
to
think we-
approve the budget amendment number 5? Number 5, okay. Any further discussion?
Quick question: where would the 5,565 come from?
I believe, and I need to look at that budget amendment. That
We got
was-
ABC revenues that came in $110,000 over what you budgeted. You've already got that money, so it's spending 55.
We spent that already.
110,000.
We spent that already before you got here. And that's all. I'm just checking because, yeah.
It seems to have been their habit for the past a year and a half or so, or at least since the new audit firm took place. Yeah, they started doing that because and I don't want to speak for them, but again, my understanding is that in essence, they didn't want to hold on to money that was not theoretically theirs, so that's why they were trying to disperse it. That was the thinking. Correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioner.
We need it. I'm not saying we don't need it. I'm just pointing out again, where is the money coming from? Okay, that's all I'm saying.
That's already been appointed to us, that money from the ABC board. So that's earmarked only for the police department, period.
But it went to salary. It's already been spent.
No, it's not for salary. If I'm correct.
We've got,
Well,
You got enough sales tax money this year to cover salary.
ABC, you've got ABC revenue for the general fund, you've got ABC revenue for PD, library, and of course, the ABC board naturally created something for the alcohol education. You know, there's that. That's restricted. So yes.
Well, their trend has been excellent. I mean, certainly with the money that they have been giving us for this, and of all places, again, where that money should go is to the police department for what one vice creates that the other is responsible for. So I have no doubt that that money will continue to come with the work they're doing over there to give us that money to do what we need to do for these radios. Good. Great.
All right, you ready to vote?
Mm-hmm.
All in favor of amendment number 5, budget amendment number 5, please raise your right hand. That's unanimous. Okay, thank you. All right, local government commission. Audit concerns. As I recall, when they reported, they said we had a clean audit.
And she had 2 items. One was the fact that it was late,
Yes.
which you knew. The other one, was that you spent about $800,000 out of fund balance.
Yeah.
Of course, you knew that's what you were doing, so it was, so there's a response letter saying, yes, we knew it was late, and we're trying to hold them to the calendar more next year. And we knew that we were spending that money out of fund balance.
Part of it for planning for the town hall,
Yes.
right?
Yes, just about all of it. And each of you have to sign it, and it has to be signed by the finance officer and also the manager.
Okay. Is there a motion?
And you got a copy of it there. So.
Yes.
Sign it.
Okay, so we approve the letter responding to the local government commission. Just by way of explanation, the local government commission keeps a watch fiscally on local governments or towns, and takes over towns if they haven't done the proper things, which we've seen in nearby, and some of them have recovered. But anyway, that's right. All right. So all the motions made, all in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, that's unanimous. Okay.
Tom, if you would sign, I guess we got a copy of Veronica's.
What does that mean?
A paper. But if we can get y'all to sign that before you leave this evening, so we don't have to chase you down.
Okay, there's been added a discussion of the ABC board personnel matter. So the question is, she's no longer here, is she?
Okay. I still got to go through this.
I'd still.
Yeah. Mr. Mayor, it's been brought to my, I've been made aware of some concerning behavior on the part of one of our ABC board members, Courtney Justice, based on the information I've received that you have in front of you. I would like to request that the board conduct a hearing on whether we should remove Ms. Justice from the board for cause pursuant to our authority under the North Carolina General Statutes 18B 700F. I'd ask the town attorney to explain the process we should pursue.
So under that general statute, 18B-700, Section F, states that a member of a local board may be removed for cause at any time by the appointing authority, which is town board. So the town board appoints members to the ABC Commission, and pursuant to our authority under that statute, you may also remove members. The general process that we need to follow just needs to comport with due process, fundamental due process, which means that they need notice and an opportunity to be heard. So given that Ms. Justice is not here at this point in the evening, I think what we ought to do is set this for a hearing for the next meeting. Invite Ms. Justice to attend. She's not required to attend, but if she would like to attend and speak on her behalf or answer any questions the board may have, then the board can take up the matter at that time, with the benefit of having heard from her if she wants to speak, or reviewing any evidence that the board feels is necessary to consider, and then at that time the board can vote on what action may be appropriate. So I would suggest that we set this for a hearing at the next meeting in February.
Mr. Attorney, and I heard that well. I would like to make, I don't know if we can do it. You have to answer this. I would like to make a motion that we put the board member in question here on administrative leave until we have our next meeting. We have a meeting this coming Thursday night, and with the information that we have, I think it would be alarming to have her at our next meeting.
I don't know that we have the authority to put someone on leave. We appoint and we remove.
That would be the ABC board.
The ABC board may have the authority to put someone on administrative leave, but our authority as a board of commissioners, as the appointing authority, is to remove someone from the board. But again, we have to
appoint
ensure
or
that,
remove. Yes,
right. That we provide due process, which would mean that she should have the opportunity, if she so chooses, to address the board and respond to any concerns the board may have. So unfortunately, I don't think the board has the authority to put anyone on leave from the ABC Commission, only to remove pursuant to Section F of that general statute.
Okay, thank you. But that's something I can take up with the chair of the ABC board, and if
I will defer to the board of the ABC board as to, and I believe the ABC board has retained an attorney to help them through this process, and I would defer to his advice on that.
Gotcha.
So without objection, we'll defer this matter to the next meeting of the board and ask that council assist us in giving Ms. Justice notice. Okay.
And I would say because of that, I would say that it is very imperative or necessary that we have that meeting later in the month. I know there was some question earlier, would we not? And I think when you have something like this, you need to do it.
I will say this: if we were not planning to have a meeting the next time, we could also set this as a special meeting.
A special call.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or just the next board meeting.
Or the next board meeting.
I think we need to wrap this up. I think we need to do a special call.
Okay. All right. So the next meeting of the board, whether if
do we want to do? Are we doing a workshop in 2 weeks, or do you want to do a special?
We
call
don't know
meeting?
yet.
Okay.
We don't know yet.
Probably not.
And we don't know the status. They just said that she was taken by ambulance, so we don't even know what her status is.
Perhaps
right now.
Perhaps it makes sense then to wait and find out
exactly
when she
Absolutely.
could be available.
Okay.
She does or does not? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and she has
That makes
that
sense.
right. So we will coordinate a time for that meeting to occur.
All right, moving forward, old business, water distribution core system replacement. Hope she does okay with treatment, yes. Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. This is, what's before you is the engineering and construction administration aspect of the replacement of the old core water system. As you're aware, the board really started to focus on replacement of aging utility infrastructure about 10 years ago.
Yeah, define what you mean by core system,
The older system in town.
which is downtown.
Water line.
All over.
The main downtown area.
That's what I'm
Yes, sir.
getting to.
Yeah, basically we were able to identify it from date stamps on fire hydrants. And you have some that are in the 1930s. So
I understand.
Oh my gosh.
when I say aging infrastructure, we mean aged infrastructure.
And it's what used to be 2 inches is now very much less than that.
That's correct. So on this project, we actually had 2 qualified submittals. MBD Consultants scored the highest on our reviews. We had another consultant, MS, that was not too far behind and put together a fairly, what we felt was a quality package submittal. So we interviewed both. Process we don't always go through, but we felt it was appropriate for this project. And what really came out in the interview process was MBD's knowledge of our system. In the conversations in the interview, they brought forward options for us because of their knowledge of our distribution system. They manage our water system, distribution system model on how to manage the costs on this project. You know, we received the ARPA funds, but as we all know, costs are increasing. So the recommendation was made to break the 8.1 miles up into at least 3, maybe 4 different separate contracts, and prioritize those locations based on the biggest benefits to our distribution system. And as I said, that was just for us as staff trying to look forward, so we're not coming back here telling you all that, look, we're $2 million short, we're $3 million short based on the pricing. We can take smaller sections that we know will have the biggest impact, help us manage the budget, and also help us improve that downtown infrastructure. So we're making the recommendation for MBD Consultants to do the engineering design, the permitting, and the construction administration. The impact, the cost is $400,000. That was $260,000 for the engineering, $140,000 for the construction administration, because that would be significant on this project. The scope of services does include some significant public interaction. We intend to hold public information meetings before and during the project because we're going to be in the downtown area tearing up the streets to replace water lines. So we feel like keeping the public involved and knowledgeable is going to be important.
Just to clarify, excuse me.
Yes, sir.
The 400,000 you're talking is for the whole project, all the little pieces?
Engineering, design, permitting, and construction administration.
Okay. Now, so if you upgrade 40% of it, that means you can't use the new water tank to feed that system because...
No, you'll still be able to use the water tank to feed the system.
I thought the problem was the old pipes wouldn't take it.
The old pipes can take it. What you won't see from the system is the benefits of pressure.
I see.
So instead of an 8-inch pipe or a 6-inch pipe, you've got a 4-inch or a 3-inch. So you'll have that new higher elevation, but the people in that area aren't going to really see the increases in the pressure. So where you've got 30 PSI and we'd like to see 45, without the replacement, you're still going to see 30. But that's the benefits of this project. Our MBD Consultants and their knowledge of our distribution system, he can look at different areas, run the model with the replacements, and see how much impact he has. Now, the overall project, these are ARPA funds that were earmarked for 4,250,000. So this is 400,000 out of that 4,250,000 that we were allocated by the state. And staff is recommending award.
Okay, any discussion, or is there a motion?
Pete, the very last thing that you just said for me, Bill.
The earmarked ARPA funds that we received from the state in the session law was 4,250,000.
Which is short what amount? Is it?
No, this is 400,000 for the administration.
Yes.
This is just part of that. This will come out
This
of those.
coming out of that allocated funds.
Yes, sir.
You won't know
That's
till you
just the
actually
portion
take
that's coming in.
bids for the project.
Right.
And
Correct.
once you get that, you may have to say, well, we're not going to do this section because we can't afford it.
Right.
Correct.
That's the purpose of breaking it up into small
Gotcha.
pieces.
So when you do a new section, will they come back and be the consulting engineers for the 400,000? Or is this 400,000?
That's for the entire project.
The entire project,
If we put together 4 separate bid packages, MBD will put those separate bid packages together and offer that 400,000.
Just want to be clear. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Is there a motion? Motion is that we approve the authorization to the town manager to execute the MBD consulting engineer's fee proposal in the amount of 400,000. Isn't that what you said?
Yeah.
I thought that was. Okay. Any discussion, further discussion?
No.
If not, all in favor, please raise your right hand.
Definitely.
Okay, it's unanimous, all right? Now, South Broad Street Culvert Replacement Project.
Again, this is for the engineering, permitting, and construction administration for the what we called MM3 of the mitigation recommendations from the Southwest area study that was done by Gradient. Gradient was our only applicant on this one. I do have it documented. I reached out to the state, since these are our ARPA funds that were earmarked towards us, and was told by the state that since we went through a request for qualifications process, we could proceed with fee negotiations even with one applicant. We didn't need to re-advertise. So given Gradient's knowledge, as we said, they all came before you and made their presentation when they looked at the southwest portion quadrant of town, and they recommended 3 different mitigation measures that total a little over $3 million. This is the one, for lack of a better way to put it, it's at the bottom of the hill, which is where you have to start.
It's where Broad Street takes a right turn.
That's correct, right there.
Okay.
Broad Street and South Broad Street and Hidden Acres Estates.
Right. That's a bad area.
And it's a significant increase, so we know how, and you know the flooding that we see in that area. So Gradient's proposal was $76,515. The earmarked funds were $400,000, and as the manager mentioned earlier, the board had approved $400,000 to cover the difference through fund balance.
Okay.
And staff is recommending award to Gradient in the amount of $76,515.
Any discussion or questions? All right, is there a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the item.
Okay, the Gradient Land Water Innovation Fee Proposal, the amount of $76,515.
Yes, sir.
If no further discussion, all in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, it's approved. Whew.
Thank you.
What a night. Thank you. All right, so Mr. Manager, I suggest that you make your report and then call on selective reports, short selective reports, given the time of night that it is, from your department heads.
I would say you have all of their written reports in your agenda pack, unless you have any specific questions.
Anything y'all have that you want to add to your report or highlight, or you say anything?
Needed some emphasis, even just that.
Okay.
Excuse me, one point, 75% of our budgeted revenue has been collected.
We're issuing a lot of permits.
The permits fees, yeah, okay. 75%.
Mr. Mayor, I would like Mr. Adams to come up for a minute. I need to ask him a question if you don't mind. I'm sorry. Hopefully he knows the answer. Mr. Adams, I was in a meeting today with a Harnett County Commissioner and Richard. And do you have any idea the percentages of the camcorders that y'all wear? The percentages of the information that y'all obtain out of that to be used in legal matters or so forth. And the reason I'm going there, I guess there's a storage fee for the information that you collect. And I'd like to know what that storage fee is. And if it's even, I know some municipalities wear them, some don't. Is it worth our time and the money for you guys to wear them if we're not using them, and what that fee is?
I've got opinions about that too.
Not
Huh?
familiar with.
I've got strong opinions about that as well. I think they're very worth it. You don't know whether you need them until you need them. And if an incident occurs, it's better to have footage. Than
Well,
not have
absolutely,
footage.
and I agree. I just you could come back next week and say we pay $60,000 a month for storage fees. I don't know. I'd like to know that. In one case, if it's worth it, it's worth it, and I agree.
Yeah, we'll get that for you just to be sure, because I
can't speak on that.
expect Harnett County does that for us.
Maybe the chief should respond to that. Maybe the chief should respond to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll get the information. I'll send it out.
Okay,
out
good enough.
Friday.
Okay.
All right.
Didn't mean to put you on the spot.
It's okay. I was expecting it.
Huh?
I was expecting it.
Were you? No, he mentioned it today, and I said, man, I don't wonder what ours are, what our numbers are. And then I didn't get a chance to, when I spoke with you today, to ask you, man, y'all really use those things that really pay off?
And if the board would allow me real quick, Chief Thompson couldn't be here tonight, so he asked me to sit in. He's been listening to the meeting. He just wanted me to clarify about the road closure. That is something we're going to have to revisit for that St. Patrick's Day, because it falls on a Friday, 1 to 9. You got about 3 to 4 hours of school traffic that we would have to contend with. So I may have spoke out of turn a little bit, but I'm not, but he wanted me to clarify that.
Okay, we'll just have him get back to us with the information.
Great.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Going once? Going twice? This has been a long meeting, people. Thank you so much for your participation and your cooperation.
Mr. Mayor, I don't know if y'all have had time to look at these.
I have.
They're very nice. They're very neat. The kids took time, the small kids, to write us letters, send us pictures. I would like for someone to reach out to, is that Pine Springs Preparatory, is that what it's called? Mm-hmm. Academy, and with a big thank you, and that is something that we will be looking into.
Yeah, you can respond if the board
I mean, each person wrote us a letter. Some of these kids are very young, and they all wrote us letters and sent us all little butterflies, paint. It's pretty neat, and just want to say thank you for that.
Nothing further. Is there a motion to adjourn? Vote on it by leaving. Okay. That's all you